We're going to look back then at the women's team sprint. Women's team sprint finals, and the ride-off for the bronze medal between Gazprom Rusvello on this side of the track and the Australian team, with the world champion Stephanie Morton in the team. She's not paired with Carly McCulloch. McCulloch is injured at the moment, which is a little bit of a shame. She's going to be back for Brisbane, but they decided that they would sit her out. Shmuleva on the left-hand side. She's with Katerina Rogavaya. They've been dominant in the racing so far in the women's team sprint. This time they're surprisingly riding for the bronze medal. They've won 2 rounds, the 2 first rounds of the World Cups. Stephanie Morton getting ready. Caitlin Ward is her pacer for the first lap. So Stephanie Morton just needs a good start from the young rider Caitlin Ward, and then can try and tee things up to win the bronze medal. Underway by both these riders. Caitlin Ward, mouth wide open, trying to get this bike up to speed. Can she put Stephanie Morton in a good position here? But look at the start of Rogavaya, trying to put Shmuleva into a good position. Gazprom Rusvello ahead, 0.653 as they go through the first lap. Morton's got an awful lot of work to do. Shmuleva is super quick. Look at the cadence of her. Stephanie Morton bringing it back a little bit, 5.547, but at the finish line it's Shmuleva who takes it for Gazprom Rusvello, 0.441. Bronze medal goes to Gazprom Rusvello, 33.032. A big moment now. New Zealand going for gold up against this team from Poland, Marlena Karłaka and Ursula Loss. The team of New Zealand never been on the top step of a podium in the World Cups in the women's team sprint. Olivia Podmore going to lead off. Total focus. Natasha Hansen alongside her. They didn't have a great time in Hong Kong, the New Zealand women, but this time in front of their home crowd they can turn that all around. Poland getting started, a big start from them. They're ahead by 0.139. New Zealand have got some work to do. It's 0.076. Natasha Hansen really needs to turn the pressure up here. Can she bring home the gold medal for New Zealand? Poland is still there. 0.011 on the line. Hansen brings it back. Does she? Poland take it. It's a dead heat. They wait for the decision, and the decision is that New Zealand take it. What a day for the New Zealand team sprinters. Hansen and Podmore get the crowd on their feet. 32.877 to 32.899. There's the podium. New Zealand win the team sprint.
It's just such a good display of the work that Renee's put in with us, the hard work that we put in behind the scenes, and it's just so rewarding.
The men's team sprint. Take a look back at the action. This is the bronze medal ride-off. Trinidad and Tobago up against, on the other side, the team of New Zealand. They've changed the team around New Zealand. They've put Ed Dawkins as the starter, saying that he's not freshened up enough for this race. His training block has just left him a little bit tired. But remember, these riders are multiple world champions. Ed Dawkins getting the team up to speed. The team of Trinidad and Tobago, Keirin Bramble, Jazane Philippe, Nicholas Paul. It's very close, 0.604. New Zealand have some work to do. Trinidad and Tobago looking good so far. At the back of the team of New Zealand, Sam Webster. And he's still got 0.278 to bring back. Webster trying to pick this up a little bit. Trinidad and Tobago lead. Webster trying to put all the pressure on now. Can he get there? Yes, he does. Webster takes the bronze medal for New Zealand. The ride for the gold, the Japanese riders getting ready. Kazuki Amagai, Yudai Nitta, Tomohiro Fukaya up against the Polish squad. Maciej Bilecki, Mateusz Rudic and Patryk Radzkowski. This Japanese squad never been on the top step of a podium in the team sprint. We wouldn't have had 3 team sprinters for Japan. Now they are looking superb. Poland getting up to speed. Can they win the gold medal? The Polish team are ahead by 0.163. The change happens. Japan looks superb, so cohesive, so together. Poland with a little bit of a gap between the wheels. The Japanese team looking great. 190 at the back is Radzkowski of Poland. Poland still ahead. Radzkowski now just has to bring this one home. The Japanese team fighting hard. 0.097. Japan going for the gold medal. Japan take it. 0.496. Superb racing by the Japanese sprinters. The first time they have won the team sprint. The coach is really pleased with that performance. There's our podium. Japan gold, Poland silver. New Zealand take the bronze. Onto the track for the women's sprint. This is the bronze medal ride. Daria Shmileva. Shmileva gets started. Stephanie Morton. Morton up against Shmileva. This is to decide who goes through. Shmileva leading. Morton a little bit further back. Stephanie Morton winding up the pace. This is for the bronze medal. Morton up against Shmileva. Shmileva moving around the track. Going high. Shmileva nearly bounces off Morton. Now they go down to the bottom of the track. Shmileva on the inside. Morton tries to turn the heat up. Wants to try and go through and does so. She wins run number 1. Stephanie Morton 1-0. The gold medal ride. Anastasia Voinova up against Kelsey Mitchell. Kelsey Mitchell up to the top of the track now. Alongside her, Anastasia Voinova, the European champion. They get started. Anastasia Voinova, world record holder at 500 meters in her career. Kelsey Mitchell, the youngster, started racing less than 2 years ago. Pan American champion already. Voinova starting really slowly here. Just wants to take the jump of the sprint out of the legs of Kelsey Mitchell. Kelsey Mitchell in the white, up against a rider with so much experience, Anastasia Voinova. Kelsey Mitchell from Canada rides on the Milton track, where the final round of the World Cup will be in January. Voinova starting to turn the pace up, looks good. 2 laps to go, coming up to the bell. Voinova kicks hard. Kelsey Mitchell on the outside. They go elbow to elbow. Round turn 2 and up towards turn 3 now. Voinova turning up the heat on Kelsey Mitchell, holding her line. The elbow is out. Mitchell moves up on the outside. Mitchell takes it, I think, but the photograph will tell us. Over 63 kilometers an hour. Look at the elbow of Anastasia Voinova. She leans the shoulder into that banking. The elbow is out to try and keep Kelsey Mitchell out of the way, making her go the long way round, but Mitchell takes it by the width of a rim of a wheel. Stephanie Morton on the inside to decide the bronze medal. She's 1-0 up. Shmuleva in the neon orange over socks, tucked in on the wheel. Stephanie Morton leading out. Morton, the Commonwealth champion, looking to try and bring this one home. Shmuleva challenges. Morton takes it. 2-0, bronze medal to Australia. Stephanie Morton takes the bronze. It's 1-0 to Kelsey Mitchell. Voinova needs to bring this to a decider. Voinova moves up on the outside, and there's so much pace in those legs. Anastasia Voinova racing away, and Voinova takes it. 1-1 in the women's sprint. The final race, who's going to take it? Voinova goes up to the top of the track. Kelsey Mitchell down the bottom. Voinova trying to get into the slipstream. Kelsey Mitchell leading this sprint out well, the Canadian rider, but Voinova trying to get back on terms. The European champion really gives it full gas on the outside. They go shoulder to shoulder. Oh, a little bit of a lean, and Voinova gets it. 2-1. 63.5 kilometers an hour. Mitchell is happy with how she's performed in this World Cup, which is way beyond her experience. The European champion looking superb. Big throw at the line. There's our podium in the women's sprints. We're live now with the action from the men's Madison. Dell, it's been flat out from the start. Loads of action.
Yeah, a lot of action, Anthony. The pace has been really high. No one's been able to get away. New Zealand sit on top with 6 points from Poland, Switzerland after 2 sprints. Of course, they're sprinting every 10 laps. So New Zealand took the first sprint from Australia and Switzerland, then Poland, Ireland, Switzerland. New Zealand got a point in the second sprint. So we'll have the third sprint coming up in a couple of laps. The pace has been very, very fast in the high 50s, about 55, 56 kilometers an hour. Some really strong teams in here. The United States with Adrian Hejvari, Danny Holloway, Aaron Gate. Campbell Stewart, Callan O'Brien, Cameron Meyer.
The riders then, this is the start of the race, just to give you a little bit of an idea of the start. And this is our leaders, New Zealand. We've got 171 laps of racing to go. Sprints, of course, Del, every 10 laps. We're coming up to the next sprint. New Zealand lead with 6 points. A big move on the outside as Australia go for the points. A big sprint by them. So Australia have secured a maximum points that time. And it was Kel O'Brien who got across the line first there. Confirmation that Australia take 5. Portugal take 3. 2 to Belarus, 1 to Switzerland. Let's take a look then at the points overall. And it's Australia now who lead. They just leapfrogged New Zealand on 6, Switzerland on 5, Poland on 5, Portugal on 3, Ireland are on 3, Belarus on 2, and the USA are on 1. That's our top 8 as things continue. 168 laps to go. On the front of the race, then it's Belarus. Del, the pairings that we've got in here is we've got 7 laps to go to the next sprint. The big pairings, I guess, New Zealand, Australia, they're pretty impressive.
Yeah, 2 very powerful teams, and they will go head-to-head all day. Australia have been very patient so far. New Zealand made their intentions clear right from the very first sprint. No one's launched a big attack yet. I thought Callan O'Brien was going to think about keeping that one going. But early days in this race, Adrian Hedgevari, Danny Holloway, they've been in the mix. All those top teams, Ireland have also come into this, sitting in that 5th place overall.
It doesn't surprise me about the Irish team. Felix English and Mark Downey, both good road riders. Both riders who've ridden a lot of World Cups. They're getting better and better at the Madison. English won the scratch race in Glasgow in the World Cup just a few weeks ago, so he's been on good form. Mark Downey's also won medals in World Cups as well. It's a good pairing, and they are getting to know each other really well.
Yeah, they're improving all the time as they build towards the World Championships. And, of course, now that the Madison World Championship and an Olympic event, a lot of countries are focusing on it and juggling their endurance riders between the Omnium, the Team's Pursuit, and the Madison.
But I suppose for Felix English and Mark Downey, they don't really have to worry because they've not got a Team Pursuit team, so they're just concentrating purely on what they're good at, and that is the Madison. As we see New Zealand get thrown into the action, coming up to the bell. Campbell Stewart is in the race, the Omnium World Champion, and they go clear. Campbell Stewart looking very good. On his wheel is the Italian rider, Scartezzini. So Campbell Stewart takes maximum points.
He has a little look, sees they've got a bit of a gap, and he's keen to keep the momentum going straight away. America sense the danger.
Well, they know that even if you just keep rolling, you're putting riders under all sorts of pressure. Now the throw, and he throws into the action his teammate, Aaron Gate, who's got the endurance from riding on the road.
Yes, and Aaron Gate, you give him a little bit like that, he looks like he's got half a gap, and he's gone on the attack, full gas now. So Aaron Gate, New Zealand top of the leaderboard on 11 from Australia, 8. Switzerland and Poland on 5 as New Zealand launched the attack, and it's caused a big reaction. Italy, Adrian Hedgevari trying to close it down for the USA to give us 3 riders. There's 157 to go, and they're going at 59 kilometres an hour.
This is a big attack, and can they take the lap? If they take a lap, they get another 20 points. It would put them firmly at the top of the leaderboard. So a huge attack by New Zealand. That was an opportunist move by Campbell Stewart. On his wheel, the Italian pairing, Francesco Lamon and Michele Scartezzini. Behind them is Daniel Holloway, Hollywood as they call him. Well, he's got flashing lights right now as far as this spectacular attack is concerned. Campbell Stewart comes in, he throws Aaron Gate back into the action. He's the rider who caused it all, and they are not far away, Del, from taking the 20 points.
No, and the Italians sense the danger. They couldn't hold the wheel, so they have got a bit of work to do, as do the Americans. So Aaron Gate on the drops, on the tops of the bars, if you like, crouched down low over them. The Italians back on equal terms.
Problem for the Ukrainian team, who are currently without a rider. Mechanical problem for them. They are nearly there then. It's a big handsling by the Italian. Scartezzini is the rider. It was a crash for the Ukraine, and they're nearly there now. They're about 30 metres behind as the New Zealand team try to close the gap. 1 lap to go to the next sprint.
Yeah, 1 to go. New Zealand about to get onto the back. The Americans, they've had to work hard. They changed in. Denny Holloway just about on the back wheel, so 3 teams are going to take a lap. Any moment. Well, Denny Holloway's not quite there, is he? He wants to get on. The change is coming up for New Zealand and Italy. He gets onto the back, so he's safely back in. So 3 teams, 1 lap up on the field. That's going to cause a reaction when they make contact.
This race is split all over the place. The Ukrainian team getting back in. Confirmation in that New Zealand got 5. Let's take a look at the overall then of this race so far. New Zealand now on 36 points, having taken a lap. Italy on 26, USA on 25. So the New Zealand team firmly at the top of the leaderboards. That was a great way to take a lap, and it was really Aaron Gate looking and thinking, right, we have the gap, let's put our head down, let's go, let's see whether the Australians react. The answer was no.
No, they didn't, and that surprised me. So watch Australia. They won't lie down on this one. They will want to get back on equal terms, as will Switzerland and Poland. I was surprised they didn't get together and really get after them.
Well, the teams that went with, and now the USA crash. And they are a lap ahead, and that's now cost them the lap, and that's unbelievable. The Americans are at the side of the track now. Let's take a look. And look at this. It wasn't even there. Are they still in the string, though, with Holloway? If they are, they're OK.
Yes, that was Adrian Hedgevari. He had made the change. He was the rider low on the track, so the other rider should have come around. I think it was the rider from Czechoslovakia or Russia. Took him out. There's Australia on the attack. We knew they wouldn't lie down and let New Zealand have a lap, but New Zealand are going after them. They're not going to let the Australians get 1 up over them.
Well, luckily, that change had happened, which means the Americans are still 1 lap up. But Hedgevari has to get back in the action, and he has to get recovered as well after that heavy crash. Australia go on the move, 142 laps to go as they throw into the action. Kell O'Brien, one of the members of the team pursued squad. Kell O'Brien now on the attack. He comes up, flies his way round. The New Zealand desperately trying to get back on terms with this big attack of Australia. They're trying to put the New Zealand team on the ropes and get equal on laps, equal on points. Kell O'Brien, big move. New Zealand nearly there. They take the maximum points. Australia will secure 5 points at that time, I think. Yes, they do. Switzerland take 3, Austria take 2, New Zealand take 1 point. There we are, confirmation on the screen. Australia take it, 6 sprints have gone, and New Zealand with Aaron Gate trying to get back up to the wheel. This is getting close. Confirmation then that New Zealand lead 37 points to Italy's 26, USA on 25, Russia on 21, who haven't even taken a lap. They've still scored a lot of points.
Yes, the Russians doing well. Of course, the Americans won't be too happy with them right now, but it's tight in the Madison at this sort of speed. You're looking for the shortest way round. The riders, you can see they make the hand sling, they sit up. Kell O'Brien comes back in.
Away from our, just to confirm, Del, away from our camera, Russia took a lap, a sneaky lap somewhere. So they've secured 20 points, but now Austria, Switzerland, Australia all take a lap, and we're just waiting to see whether the New Zealand team can also take the lap on the rest of the field. So number 1 there is Aaron Gate as he tries to come up. The judge points to the front of the race, which is New Zealand. They're trying to take the lap, and that would give them another 20 points. The peloton is deemed as the biggest bulk of riders on the track, and he's nearly there, but this is a big, big move. If he gets there, they will be on 57 points compared to the 33 of Australia. New Zealand lead 37 points, a 4-point advantage currently on Australia, who've just taken the 20 points.
And the difficulty they had there was getting through the traffic, trying to get on equal terms. We saw Aaron Gate had to dive underneath a rider, go around a rider, but Campbell Stewart's got his head down. Of course, the Omnium World Champion winner last night of the Omnium, just cruising. He knows he's going to make contact.
He's waiting for the next sprint. Clever racing by Campbell Stewart. He's just going to sit there. He's going to sit a few meters behind. He doesn't want to catch the peloton. That will give him 5, so that would put him up to 42. Add in the 20 when he takes a lap. That would put him on 62 with a massive advantage on Australia. Here's our leader. He takes the 5 points. Now he takes the 20 for taking the lap. Impressive riding from New Zealand. Let's just tidy it up, Del, quickly with the points, which will come up shortly. New Zealand take 5, Poland take 3, Australia take 2, Hong Kong, China take 1, and the standings overall mean that New Zealand lead with 42 points, Australia on 35. Let's just take a little look. Here's the points. New Zealand have 42, but any moment now they're going to get another 20, which will put them on 62 points.
Yes, so New Zealand getting that lap. They chased, they didn't give up the chase as well, so they kept themselves at the top of the leaderboard. We've still got 127 laps to go in this race, and it won't be slowing down. Remember, 200 laps of the velodrome. It's 29 degrees in here, and there's no water bottles on the bikes. It's so hot, so fast. Now just a little bit of a rest period.
No, the front of the race is Australia. Not this point. The Australian team are the leaders on the track, and I think they are getting pretty close. New Zealand have taken a lap. Oh, the judge pointed to the Australian team earlier and confused us. No, Australia have just taken 20 points. So Australia just took 20 points. Poland just took 20 points, so they did take the lap. So New Zealand are still the leaders. New Zealand are 62, Australia 55, Switzerland 28. So I was right. The judge pointed to the Australians. They took 20 points. Poland took 20 points, which means that they're now dealt 7 points between New Zealand and Australia. They're equal on laps. They've both taken 2.
That's right. Gee, we said at the top of the program it would be a battle. I said it would probably be a war, and it's shaping up that way. Can't believe we've got 8 teams that have taken the lap, 2 teams that have taken 2 laps, and we're at 123 laps into a 200-lap race. What's it going to look like at the end?
Well, they've been knocking bits out of each other so far. New Zealand 40 points on laps, Australia 40 points for taking laps, but the deficit for Australia now only 7 points, so they are in the chase. It is the Southern Hemisphere battle between New Zealand and Australia that we hoped for. Coming up to the next sprint, who is clear? It's Ireland who are the leaders. They're looking for 5 points. Ireland looking to get themselves up the leaderboard. Take a maximum 5. Russia take 3. America, USA take 2 points. And now a little bit of a lull. Everyone tries to get their breath back. Ireland took 5. Russia 3. USA 2. Ukraine took 1. And let's take a look as we confirm that New Zealand lead. Australia second, Switzerland and Poland. At the front of the race now is Ukraine in the blue and yellow. There they are. 21 minutes of racing. And how much action can you have?
Well, 21 minutes of racing. We've seen 8 teams take laps. 2 teams take 2 laps. The 62 and 65 points. It's just been electric out there. You can be riding really well, like the Irish are, be in 9th place, and you find yourself 2 laps down.
The Ukraine team are way down the standings at the moment. They've scored 1 point. They're in 12th place. They're trying to get across to get 20 points. Most of the field have taken a lap. Now the little Hansling, the Ukrainian rider, goes into the action. The Vladimir Zeus is the leading rider. He's not too far behind now. He's covered in track burn, isn't he? All over that left shoulder after that big crash.
Yes, and that hurts, doesn't it? You have a little bit of adrenaline, and then all of a sudden it starts to hurt. It's a big piece of rump showing on the leg.
Oh, that's sore, isn't it? That was a big crash. The judge points to the Ukrainian rider at the front of the event. The American riders at the front of the peloton. There is a sudden lull. Everyone's gone, wow, that start was ferocious. Now I can just calm my heart rate down.
I know, we're probably at about 160 right now, Anthony, so we do need a little bit of a lull in the race as New Zealand and Australia cover. Switzerland, I think, will be looking to launch something. They looked very good. They covered the first moves, just missed the one of Australia.
If you've just joined us now, this is the current situation. New Zealand lead this Madison. The Madison, 200 laps on the track, 20 sprints. It's all about securing points. The next sprint comes up at 110 laps. The Ukraine are still the leaders. They're getting close to the back of the peloton to take their 20 points for taking a lap. They're covered in burns. And Ukraine are going to take the maximum 5 points this time, which they do. They go through safely. Behind them, there's a sprint going on, and it's Belarus and New Zealand. New Zealand looking to extend their advantage. Campbell Stewart races through. He takes maximum points from the peloton, which is 3. And then it was Ireland, I think, who were also up there. So New Zealand will extend their advantage.
Yes, they won't be patient as well. Aaron Gate, when he's in this sort of form, gets the bit between his teeth. He'll be thinking about when's the next time to attack, when's the next opportunity. Ukraine get the 5 points, New Zealand 3, Ireland 2, Belarus get the 1 point.
And that means that New Zealand now have a nice buffer with 10 points advantage on Australia. So 65 to 55. We'll just take a little look at the overall standings. Let's take a look then. 107 laps to go, 10-point advantage for New Zealand, and it's the battle, isn't it? This is shaping up nicely. We talked about it earlier on, and it's playing out. And Sling throwing into the action. Cameron Meyer, 9 times world champion, numerous times the world points race champion, finished second yesterday in the Omnium, having returned to the track. And still Ukraine, can they get across to the back of this peloton and secure the 20 points? They really need to do it now rather than later.
Well, they do. They deserve it. They've fought hard. It's just timing, isn't it? If you get the sprint come up at the wrong time and everyone in the main bunch, the big peloton, react. Campbell Stewart, look at him. Just having a look up at the leaderboard, seeing, well, we've got 10 points. 10 points. We've still got to keep an eye on the Aussies. We don't want to let them sneak away. There's the Ukraine. They put in a hard effort. They're a bit battered and bruised. There we go. They're on the back. They've got the points. They've got the lap. They've got their 20.
Oh, they've done it. They've finally got their 20 points. That will move them into 6th place. Well, they really deserve that. They've had a terrible start to this race, but somehow they're still in the hunt.
Yeah, you come in, you get on, the bell goes, there's a sprint coming up on the front, Aaron Gate. So Aaron Gate leads into the 200. Now's the challenger in Belarus down the outside. America there as well, Ireland. New Zealand going back a little bit. They'll have to settle for the 4th. Switzerland's change coming into the sprint. They might want to keep it going.
Mikhail Shemeto is the rider from Belarus who secures the maximum points. The United States of America were also up there. Good news for them. That will help them in the standings. Belarus take the 5 points in that sprint. There we are on the screen. Confirmation. Belarus 5, USA 3, Switzerland 2, New Zealand 1, which means that the overall standings at the midway point, the midway sprint, are still New Zealand leading. There we are, 10 points on Australia. Then it's Switzerland and the USA on 30 points each for the bronze medal. But Del, the bronze medal is shaping up to be also a bit of a battle between Switzerland, USA, Poland 2 points behind, Italy 4 points behind with Ukraine.
Yeah, it's really tight for the bronze, and you'll be, if you're in that group that you just mentioned, Anthony, keep an eye on Australia, New Zealand. If one of them go with them and help them, because that'll be your ticket to the bronze.
It will be. Ukraine 20 points. That was a little while ago. New Zealand still at the top of the leaderboard. Ireland have been riding well, but just haven't got in the moves. They're lying in 10th place at the moment. Now we get an attack, and the attack comes from Australia. Big move as they tried to put New Zealand under pressure. An immediate reaction from New Zealand, but Kel O'Brien has gone for it now.
Kellen O'Brien, he's going for it, all right. Aaron Gates grabs Campbell Stewart, slings him in, so Campbell Stewart, he comes in. Cameron Meyer, there they go. They're just going to be back together. Will they keep it going as a pair? Yes, Campbell Stewart goes, well, let's keep the asset on. We might as well put them in the hurt box. Switzerland, Italy. It's a good move by Italy, trying to get on equal terms. That could be the bus ticket for them, but they sit out. Italy will try and keep it going, I'd imagine. Yeah, the big swing up the track from Cameron Meyer. He thought, right, there's a rider coming up. He's got that sense on the track. He swings up, he looks down, he goes, it's New Zealand. We ain't working with that one, so he decides to take the sting out of the attack. Now the Italians start to go on the move. One of the members of their team pursuit squad are just getting better and better all the time. Michele Scartezzini, he goes clear. New Zealand looking for an opportunity to get rid of Australia. I think this time it's coming down to the sprints, isn't it, the way they're neutralising each other. I think it will. There's you're right, Anthony. They're cancelling each other out, but one of the other teams could capitalise on that. Italy doing the right thing, getting in this. The bell goes for another sprint. So they'll be coming around down the back straight. Campbell Stewart leads out. He will throw in. Where's Aaron Gate? He's not going to come in, so Australia will make the change. Italy have coming into the sprint. They have to follow the Swiss around. Lucas Rugg in second place for Switzerland. He takes the second place points. New Zealand managed to extend their advantage even further. Another 5 points. Switzerland 3, Italy 2, Australia take 1. Which means, as you can see there on the screen, we've had 11 sprints so far. 5 points to New Zealand. Now the USA decide to go on the attack. There's just been a big crash, I heard, on the track. And a big crash between Switzerland and the Ukraine. 2 riders down. And now Australia going on the attack yet again. New Zealand have a big advantage, 15 points by the looks of things. The Swiss rider just hitting the deck really heavily, Del. We'll take, we might get a chance to see the replay. Meanwhile, the Australians are going on the move again with New Zealand chasing at around 30 metres. So here we go, the rider from the Ukraine. Oh, he comes up. Switzerland just runs straight into the back of him. That was a heavy blow. The man travelling at high speed hits him. Switzerland back on the bike. The man from the Ukraine, he is battered and bruised. He had already been down once in this race. Well, when you have been racing flat out on the track, your visor's steamed up, it's covered in sweat. Sometimes you don't see the roadblock in front of you, and unfortunately, that's what happens to Switzerland when you don't see the rider. New Zealand at the front of the race now. Huge advantage considering how hard these two teams have ridden against each other. But New Zealand, as things stand right now, have a 15-point advantage on Australia. And yet they're both equal on laps, but just the sprinting prowess of New Zealand, who are timing it to perfection, are just securing more and more points. Yes, and the advantage New Zealand have at the moment is both Campbell Stewart and Aaron Gate are very good sprinters. So they can, doesn't matter which one of them is in there, they'll make sure they get a point. If there's a sprint coming up, they'll settle for one, they won't take any risks, and if they can take more than one, they'll take it. So I think that's been their advantage, as you rightly called, Anthony, the sprint finishes. Cal O'Brien moves to the front again. We're getting close to taking another lap here. And it is Australia first across the line. New Zealand track with 3 points in second place. Switzerland and the USA now in third and fourth places, very close together. Hong Kong, China take 2 points that time. Italy take 1. At the front of the race again is Australia and New Zealand, who are looking to take yet another lap on the rest of the field. 5 points to Australia, 3 to New Zealand. They're going to take another lap on the field. Del, 3 laps they've taken, New Zealand and Australia. 60 points they've both taken of laps. Yeah, incredible performance by both teams, and we've still got, what, 77 laps to go, so they could take another 2 yet. 94, 81, Switzerland, the United States. They're on 30 and 33, Italy on 29, so it's still tight for that bronze medal. Confirmation, 20 points to New Zealand, 20 points to Australia. Another lap taken. They are they're 750 metres ahead of the rest of the field, who are riding flat out.
Or 500 metres at most and 750 on the rest.
Yes.
Half a kilometre ahead after 32 minutes.
It's incredible, the speed of the race, but the speed that they've been going and the laps they've been able to take. So America, they will be wanting to defend that bronze medal. Italy, as you rightly called before, they're getting better. They've just got to stay alert. The Ukraine are back into it. They will be battered to bits, but they're still in the race in 6th place.
Well, the Swiss rider is a bit shaken after that crash and is just getting a little bit of medical attention. He hit the rider in front so hard, and that was just like hitting a roadblock. It really was. And it's down to the rider who was at the bottom of the track from Ukraine was changing. He'd already changed, and that's normally what happens. They come back nice and slowly, and then they go up the track. He didn't do anything wrong. The Swiss rider just didn't really see him and went straight in the back.
That's right. It's the situation where you got stars in your eyes. You know, New Zealand and Australia are putting the pressure on, and you're desperate to get across, so you've got your head down. And the minute it goes down, there's something in front of you. He literally hit it like it's like hitting a solid object.
Hong Kong, China take 5. They've secured some points, and they're still trying to take a lap on the rest of the field. Japan took 3 points, Ireland took 2, and New Zealand took 1 point that time. Hong Kong, China looking for 20 points here as they continue with his attack. Oh, he's really shaken after that crash. He really hasn't recovered yet. I think, look at this, he just didn't see him, and he went straight in at what, 55 k an hour when you do that. And I think they've realized that he was okay to begin with. He stood up, but as we all know, the big thing in sports right now, and should have been, as we see New Zealand on 95, Australia on 81, is that concussion, it wasn't really understood, and now it's becoming more and more understood. And that rider is in difficulty, and the doctors have looked at him and realized we need to give this guy concussion treatment and look after him.
That's right, and especially when you're racing in this heat at that speed, you're so dehydrated as well. So the right decisions made. Big blow. Switzerland have an outstanding World Cup here in New Zealand, winning that team's pursuit in a national record time. High risk in the Madison, so the battle for the bronze at the moment is the United States on 30, Italy on 29, Poland on 28, the Russian Federation on 24. Top of the leaderboard, New Zealand 95, still 64 laps, so plenty of time for teams to still take a lap on the field.
Well, Hong Kong, China are trying to get up to the back of the field here, and if they do, that means that they would be on 28 points, which would put them up in the hunt for the bronze medal overall. So there's a number of teams queuing up behind who may well put themselves in with a medal opportunity. Hong Kong, China, they're in the blue and white with China in the red, People's Republic of China in the red and yellow, and these two riders looking for these points. So Hong Kong, China looking for the 5. If they can get that, that would put them on 13 points, and then they get another 20, would move them into the bronze medal position.
And Adrian Hedgevarry from the USA is sneaking up towards them as well. He's going to throw in his teammate Danny Holloway. As we see Hong Kong, China and China. The peloton, Italy, no, they can't let the US get away, so they're going to shut it down.
The race is coming back together, slowly but surely. And it is that time, Hong Kong, China, who took 5 points, maximum points for them. It looks like the peloton are closing in pretty quickly. That time then, Hong Kong, China took 5, USA 3, Ukraine 2, Italy took 1 point. It means then that the United States of America have a 2-point advantage in the bronze medal position over Italy. There was confirmation of that. So USA 33 points, Italy on 31.
The Russian Federation now going on the attack down the back. They've caught the riders from Hong Kong, China and China. They're going to come in, take the change. This is the front of the race coming around now, the Russian Federation. And they're on the march. They want to get a lap. They're sitting in 6th position, so it's a good time to attack in the bike race. 57 laps to go. The top teams have been going at it since 199 on the board, so they're quite happy to settle down for a moment, catch their breath, think about their next move.
Ukraine have just gained a lap, but they've also lost a couple of laps, so they are swinging all over the place as far as lap and points are concerned. They're not really in a hunt, so we don't need to be concerned by them. The Russian team attacking with Hong Kong, China. Russia represented by Lev Gonov. He is the rider who's on the attack right now. He's the rider in the front with the white, blue and red. So the USA are still in third place. They're looking good on 33 points. Italy with 31, Poland on 29. And there's the chase going on behind with the Australians and New Zealander team. The New Zealand team with 95 points, nearly up at the 100-point mark already.
Yeah, they've scored well, haven't they, right throughout the Madison, as we see Campbell Stewart going through, being tracked by the Italians.
There's the USA team there in third place. Russia and Hong Kong, China. The judge pointing to them. A little bit of an advantage around about the home straight advantage they have. So they've still got some work to do. But the attack's going on behind, and the attack's coming from New Zealand. New Zealand go on the move now to try and secure more points as Aaron Gate piles on the pressure on Australia. Look at the speed of Aaron Gate going down the back straight.
He's unbelievable. As I said, when he's in this sort of mood, I've watched him in national points races take 5 and 6 laps out of the field, and that's the sort of mood he's in today. Straight up onto the wheel of the Russian Federation. He's going to keep going. He's going to throw Campbell Stewart in. The Australians are in a spot of bother now.
This is a big move, isn't it? So a throw-in for Campbell Stewart. On the wheel are Italy. They're looking like they're involved in this attack, but Australia, the alarm bells are going to have to ring now. They need to get involved in the action. 98 points for New Zealand, 81, the 17-point advantage. It's literally been flat out from the start. Hate to think what the average speed is right now.
Oh, it's up there, isn't it? In Italy, they're committed as well. They know they can get into the bronze medal, so the Americans under pressure. Italy with New Zealand out front. The two teams working as like they're one at the moment.
Campbell Stewart throws his teammate into the action. Aaron Gate. Behind him is the Italian rider whose legs are giving out here. Francesco Lamon just cannot go with his speed and acceleration of Aaron Gate. Well, when he got here, everyone was kind of saying, how is he going to drop into a New Zealand team having done a road season? And the answer is no issue whatsoever. This guy is right on form, and he is buzzing around this track.
Well, he's such a class bike rider, of course, from Auckland. Came through the program at Auckland Grammar School, raced all the schools, secondary school cycling, the team's time trials. He's such a class bike rider. He can switch from the road. He came in, I didn't think he'd be able to slot straight into the team's pursuit at the sort of speed. He was the strong man in that team, Anthony.
Yeah, he's ridden this year for the Evo Pro Racing team. Before that, he rode for the Irish teams of Aqua Blue Sport and Anne Post as well, the team of Sean Kelly, which is a great school to be in when you have King Kelly as your mentor. And it certainly helped him out. He's 29 years of age now. Aaron Gate and Campbell Stewart. But Aaron Gate looks so smooth right now. The Australian team under massive pressure. 9 times world champion Cameron Meyer just must be wondering, what do we have to do here?
Well, now he knows what it feels like, doesn't it? Because Cameron Meyer used to do this at will to people. Now he's on the back foot a little bit. But he's such a classy bike rider. Another rider coming back to the track, focusing on his build-up to Tokyo. He grabs Callan and Bryan, but they're half a lap down on the New Zealanders. Here they come. So New Zealand change. Italy are on the bus ticket. The Ukraine, they deserved better than the 2 laps down that they are, because they've been on the deck, I think, 3 times in this race.
Yeah, it's not been a great race for Ukraine. If they'd stayed on the bikes, they would be firmly up there at the top of the leaderboard in bronze medal position. 5 points to New Zealand, 3 to Italy, 2 to Australia, 1 to Poland. Still ahead, 16 laps, 16 sprints have gone. Let's take a look at the standings. New Zealand now have got over the 100 points, 103, 20 points ahead of Australia, 35 points to Italy, with the USA on 33 points now. They still continue with the attack. Aaron Gate trying to get across to secure another lap, which would be a monumental 4-lap gain on the rest of the field.
That's a kilometre. They've taken, if they get on, that's a kilometre out of the rest of the field. The Italians, I tell you, they are hurting, but they are so motivated for that bronze medal. They've been getting better. Here we go, Aaron Gate, Italy. Gate throws in Campbell Stewart. There they go, they're going to come around. They've taken 4 laps out of the majority of the field in this race, and there's still 35 on the board.
Wow, they've taken another lap. New Zealand, 4 laps gain. Another 20 points. New Zealand at the top of the leaderboard. Our points, they've just been given 2 laps on our computer, but I think that'll get fixed in a minute. I think the Tissot timing have got a little bit heated up down there in the track centre. They say they've taken 5 laps. It's 4 laps, isn't it?
It's 4 laps, and all of a sudden Italy in 3rd place on 75 points. Australia on 83. New Zealand at the top of the leaderboard. 32 laps left.
The Irish team at the front, 32 laps to go. We continue with this attack now. Kajihara, the Japanese riders go clear. Hashimoto, I should have said, is the rider on the attack now. Hashimoto looking good as he attacks down the back straight. 31 laps to go. Yeah, he's absolutely flying. So Ireland going as well. The USA, they know they're desperate. They want to get back up into that bronze medal position. So the USA had to react to the move of the Japanese with Ireland. So 3 teams gone clear again. This has been aggressive. This is what Madison racing is becoming like. Adrian Hitchvari is saying the gears are getting bigger, the speeds are getting higher. You don't have to kill much speed at the top of the track now because the race is so fast. You've got to keep the momentum going. Must just use so much energy riding the big gears. Adrian Hitchvari throws in Danny Holloway down the back straight. So the Americans on the front, on the attack. USA are in 4th place on 35 points. They've taken a lap, but they are even still in 4th place, and the rest of the riders in the top 3 have taken 3 or 4 laps. Italy and Australia in 2nd and 3rd place. Well, they've gone from a long way out, haven't they? There's still quite 6 laps to the next sprint. So Italy have to react straight away. Big attack from the United States of America. Italy, they've got a bit of a buffer. So 75 points to 35. Italy looking good in 3rd place. Well, there's a number of teams who've been losing laps, and China are one of them, Chile are one of them, Switzerland already out of the race. It's carnage, isn't it, at the moment? Red flag being shown to China. They're taken out of the race. They just couldn't keep up with the pace so far. And let's take a little look at the standings overall. And there is the USA. There's Daniel Holloway, still riding well, 22 laps to go. Holloway lives in Boulder in Colorado. Spends his season doing the criterium circuit. A big throw to Hegavari into the action. 21 laps to go, not many sprints left. No, there's not a lot of sprints, and the USA trying to get the lap, working hard. And I'm pleased to say that our screen has been adjusted, and New Zealand now on 4 laps gain, not on the 5 laps gain that we thought about. So 123 points to New Zealand, 83 to Australia, which is incredible that they are so far ahead, this New Zealand team. Sprint 18, USA took 5, Japan took 3, Ireland took 2, Australia took 1. but Australia need to take another lap at least to get somewhere near New Zealand. I don't know if it's possible. New Zealand on 1, 2, 3. Australia on 84, Italy on 75. So Italy, if they defend their position, Del, they should be safe in the bronze medal position.
Yes, but the Americans are coming, and Italy see that, so they have to go to the front and pick up the pace. The Italians going full gas, coming into the front straight. The Americans trying to do the same down the back straight, but Italy know they're defending the third place position at the moment, driving the front of the race. Down the back straight, Italy go.
The Italian team, number 6 there, Michele Scartazzini on that lovely Pinarello bike as he goes to the front to try and drag this race back. It's Mikhail Shemeto of Belarus who's right on his wheel. The teammate of Scartazzini is Lamont. He'll ride for a little continental team next season of the SAR Vedi. Daniel Holloway still relaxing with those deep bars, just trying to get himself there, and he's almost there for 20 points, but even then he's still going to have to defend his position. But if this goes well, he'll move into the bronze medal position for the USA.
Yeah, there's a good chase, isn't it? It's a real Madison chase on now with Danny Holloway trying to get onto the back, trying to get onto equal terms. The Italians, the lights are just about out. Ireland onto the front, so when it settles down, here comes Holloway. He throws in Adrian Hedgevari. Of course, he spends a lot of time here in the Waikato. Husband of Rushley Buchanan.
Gavari getting into the action now. 12 laps to go. Can they do it before the end? If you've just joined us now, where have you been? Because this has been an electric Madison. New Zealand lead with 123 points. They've taken 4 laps. The USA getting close to the back of the group of riders. They're going to secure 5 points. Now they're going to secure 20 as they come up. Holloway looking for the back of the string of riders. He's nearly there. He's still maybe 30, 40 meters behind. If he can get there, they will get the bronze medal. If they don't get there, they won't take the bronze medal.
No, the danger is Australia went on the attack just as he was about to make contact. It looked like they were about 10 meters off the back, and all of a sudden it became 30. So the Americans rode out of their skin to get the lap. The Australians have put stop to that, so that's helped the Italians out.
We're coming up to the final sprint. There are double points on the last lap, so there'll be 10 points for the winner of the final sprint. New Zealand on 1, 2, 3, Australia 87, Italy 55, and USA on 45. They secure 10. It would then be on where you finish in the final sprint, which would mean that the USA would leapfrog Italy and take the bronze medal. So this is a very important attack. Even, Del, if they don't take the 20, they can still get the bronze medal.
And I think the Italians have had the message as well. They are working hard. They're now getting up to the front of the main group. The Americans, they're getting no help.
The Italians have to score. They have to secure some points here in the final sprint, or the USA will leapfrog them and take the bronze medal. Ukraine just going away. This is the USA. So Daniel Holloway giving this full throttle now, 5 laps to go. He recognises that he's just got to give it everything. He may well end up still finishing 4th. The Italians are coming up towards the front. They recognise how dangerous this is. New Zealand are going to win this Madison. There's no doubt about that. They can't be beaten. Stewart and Gate have been superb. The USA thrown back into the action. They need the maximum points, and they need Italy not to score. The Italians coming forward. 3 laps to go, Dal. This has been scintillating.
Oh, it is 3 laps to go, and Campbell Stewart's gone on the attack. The Italians know that. What a ride by Danny Holloway. Got into contention. Adrian Hedgevari is trying to get back. He's up with the Australians. They're going after the Italians. Italy are going to have to keep it going. 500 metres to go. The bronze medal. Can they keep that position?
This is looking really close. 1 lap to go. The American team are leading. They're looking for the maximum points. Can they do it? Hegavari is the rider who's coming up towards the line to take it. Can they do it? There he is. And they are going to take the maximum points, I think. The American team on the final sprint. It's all going to be about the Italians. The USA take 10, New Zealand take 6, Austria take 4. The Italians score 2, but the winners of the Madison are New Zealand. Italy secure the bronze by 2 points in that final sprint. But the crowd are on their feet. All hail the riders who, without a doubt, were the team of the day. New Zealand, Gate and Stewart. Well, everyone else was on another lap. They were miles ahead. They take the high fives of this New Zealand crowd. What a display.
Wow, fantastic display, and Aaron Gates' coach just sitting down here in front of us on his feet. Absolutely delighted with the performance. He's looked after him for such a long time. What a ride, Campbell Stewart, Aaron Gates.
Del, just listen to this. The average speed for 50k was 58 kilometers an hour. 58 kilometers an hour for 50k.
It's absolutely insane. A few months ago, Adrian Hijvari said, you know, the Madison's been getting faster and faster. It's a 200-lap race that you would think it should take about an hour, but it's getting closer and closer to the 60k an hour mark, and over 58 kilometers an hour here on the back of a hard 2 days racing.
51 minutes for 50k. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. That was some Madison between those riders. Well, they're celebrating, and so they should, for all sorts of reasons. 4 laps, an amazing average speed, and non-stop action all the way through.
Wow, the World Championship Madison is going to be something. There's the leaderboard.
The standings, the final result, New Zealand win with 129 points on Australia's second place of 87, and Italy end up in the bronze medal position on 57 points. The USA just miss out by not taking that lap, finishing in 4th place.
Well, that race had absolutely everything. We had unbelievable speed, a couple of big pile-ups, massive attacks, tight sprints, high speed, the skill level to execute what they do.
New father, Aaron Gate. Wonderful racing that was.
Well, to put on a display like that in front of your family and friends who don't get the chance to see you race that often at international level, unless they're watching, of course, on Sky Sport when the New Zealand team is racing overseas.
These riders will go and recover then. Kel O'Brien congratulates Campbell Stewart and says, well done. That was an impressive display. Well, who's to say that these riders couldn't win the Olympic Games, Madison? That was a display of pure speed.
That's going to be some event. Gosh. Of course, we've got another one next week in Brisbane.
Let's see what happens then. Women's Omnium elimination race. Race number 3 of the 4 races in the Women's Omnium tonight. The riders just getting themselves onto the track. Let's take a little reminder, a little thought about how this Omnium is going so far. The women are just making their way up onto the track. We've had 2 races so far, the scratch race and the tempo race. Scratch race taken by Kajihara. And And the leader is Kajihara with a 4-point advantage on Valente of the USA, with Beveridge of Canada on 72. And Maria Martin's nicely poised, again in 4th place, a rider who was so good in Hong Kong. She struggled in the final points race. The legs kind of just gave out a little bit. But so far, she's been looking good again in this race.
So you have just joined our coverage for the elimination races. As Anthony said, will be the 3rd event. So the action is always at the back of the field as a rider gets eliminated. The last rider across the line, every second lap, gets eliminated. It's fast, it's tough, it's tight. Everyone's fighting for position. The little orange box on the handlebars with a flashing light, they're all being tested to make sure they work. So the last rider, as they cross the line, the judges push the number in and that light flashes, so they know they are eliminated from the race.
The riders coming up onto the track. There is the Rushley Buchanan. I wonder if she was watching that Madison, enjoying the racing, or whether she just had to focus on the job in hand.
With the noise of the crowd and the action on the track, it would be hard to focus on what you were doing on the infield.
Yeah, it's warm in this track. It's also really noisy now. There is Kajihara, just getting herself ready for racing. The thing is, Kajihara is also really good at elimination races normally, because she's a fast twitch sprinter. Valente getting ready.
Well, Kajihara, she is one of those riders that can hang around at the back and use that kick high on the track to eliminate people all the time. Not really work or fight too hard, but you do cover a bit of extra ground up there. But it can be worth it.
Little orange boxes flashing red at the moment. They put them all on and then they turn them off just before the start. There's the orange boxes that Dell was talking about. You notice they say on them, stop when flashing. As if they need to know that. Instructions written in front of your face. Tablinskaya at the back of the group from Uzbekistan. The riders will just form up. And at the front of the race, they start to get into the action. And the gun goes, and the bell will show us where the first elimination is. Towards the back of the group is Medvedova, who's in trouble, and the bell goes. At the front of the race is Amber Joseph from Barbados. She doesn't like to sit at the back of a group. Anita Stenberg in trouble, and Amber Joseph is riding a more aggressive race this time. She wants to stay out of trouble at the front, and in difficulty now. Who's going to be eliminated? And it looks, oh, very, very close. I'm not sure who was taken out that time. But it was Wang Tingying of Chinese Taipei. Not impressed.
So hard to pick, isn't it? You've got to have the photo finish right on the back of the line. The bell goes, so again, the action is at the back.
Hong Kong, China in a little bit of difficulty here. Jessica Li Weitsing is out of trouble now, moves up, and it is the Swiss rider who is taken out of the action, Aileen Seitz. So far, not going too well for Aileen Seitz in this omnium competition. Front of the race then is Li Chu-wing, and at the back it is the Italian rider Vittorio Gazzini, who's in trouble. Hong Kong, China move up, and China now in difficulty at the back of the group. And it's the Italian who's going to be out this time. Gozzini is eliminated. A surprise there.
Just way too casual, Anthony. She thought she was in a good place, very casual, has a look over her shoulder and goes, oh no, I've just been robbed by the Chinese on the outside.
She's out of the race. Next bell is rung. We're going to whittle this group of riders all the way down to the final two to decide what happens. The Israel rider moves up on the outside. Anastasia Chulkova riding for her trade team of the Israel Cycling Academy, but going to be eliminated is the rider from China. Number 16 is taken out of the action, Wang Chaofei. Amber Joseph in difficulty for Barbados in the yellow and blue at the back of this group. Can she move up? Good sprinter. She moves up the outside to try and get herself back into the race. On the wheel of Rushley Buchanan, looking for a gap to come through. Is Rushley Buchanan going to be in difficulty? No, the rider from Barbados is out.
A little bit close. Rushley Buchanan senses the danger now. She starts to move up around the outside. Just a little bit sore after the fall in the opening scratch race. She'll try to get as high a placing as possible in this race without using too much energy. At the back, Alison Beveridge decides it's time to move around the outside, so he's going to go all the way around towards the front. Rushley Buchanan, the camera's on her. That's because she's having to bite her teeth a little bit.
That was very tight for Rushley Buchanan, but out of the race will be, I think, number 17 from Spain, Ana Usabiaga. He looks at the red flashing light and thinks, I'm sure it wasn't me. Next rider to be eliminated. Rushley Buchanan has been playing with fire, but now moves up to the front.
Yes, it was one of those things you have to do it. We saw Beveridge do it the lap previously. Now you've just got to keep rolling as they come around you. Every time they come around the outside, just move with them. Big run from Norway.
I think Chulkova is out. Red light flashes. Chulkova is eliminated. Anastasia Chulkova, a Russian rider riding for the Israel Cycling Academy. Now the next elimination is going to happen. Rushley Buchanan again playing with fire at the back of the group. She needs to find her way through. Has she got the legs? She looks to be suffering this time. Buchanan trying to get herself back in the race. She does seem to be suffering now. Buchanan is out of the race.
Yes, well, when she went right around to the front and just couldn't hold the position, couldn't float at the front of the field, she's really breathing hard. She's in a lot of pain from that crash in the scratch race.
It's funny, isn't it? For the first sort of half an hour afterwards, you can beat anybody if you get back on the bike, and then suddenly, about an hour and a half later, you've had enough.
That's right.
Rider on the inside, in trouble. Wearing number 54, the rider from Hong Kong, China, in the blue and white, squeezed out at the back. Li Chu-wing is out of the race. Number 22.
So Alison Beveridge goes. She was on the front before, finds herself at the back, having to work her way around. Jennifer Valente just sitting one back on the inside, colours of America.
Beveridge really can't afford to be out here because she's sitting high up in the standings. She needs to look after her interests. Anita Stenberg is up there. She goes forward. Stenberg is a clever rider in an elimination race. Towards the back, though, the next rider is out. Oh, was it the rider at the bottom of the track from Mexico? Number 37. She's looking at that box thinking, surely that wasn't me. I was there. Lisbeth Salazar and Rushley Buchanan, yeah, is in all sorts of trouble. Unfortunately, that big crash has now started to hurt, and she can hardly walk as she makes her way into the track.
Kiwahara is looking so good in this. She just sits there on the inside. She pushes her way out if she needs to. Nips up, stays safe, just stays tucked up. We haven't had to talk about her. She's the rider on the white helmet down at the bottom of the track. About 3 back at the moment.
I think it was the Slovakian, it might have been the Irish rider. The Irish rider who was just squeezed at the bottom of the track, Lydia Boylan. She got herself in a position where she'd been riding really well, and suddenly that washing machine effect at the front of the race took her out. Shame for her, she looked good. Still on the front, Zabelinskaya. Towards the back, it's Kajiara's now in trouble.
Yes, she decided to drift back through the field because she knew she was in a spot of bother, and she'll use her speed and kick to get up on the outside.
The rider at the bottom of the track is out this time. Number 54 is out of the race. Medvedova of Slovakia, there she is. She was almost out last time, she's out this time. Eventually, the tiredness gets you. The bell goes this time. Another rider will be taken out. Georgia Baker is at the back for Australia. Stenberg looking for a little bit of a gap. In trouble now is Alison Beveridge of Canada as Baker moves up as well. Ooh, a touch of shoulders. The Polish rider squeezing Beveridge even higher up the track. And who was out that time? Was it the Polish rider? Number 46. Just looking to see whether her light is flashing. I think they haven't eliminated anyone this time, have they?
No, it looks like no one's lights have gone on. Everyone's still in.
Yeah, no elimination that time. So no elimination, the judges confirm that. Beveridge moves up on the outside. Georgia Baker in a little bit of trouble for Australia. Beveridge looks to have really tired legs now. An attack on the outside, though. Stenberg goes. Stenberg, number 39. It's really hard when you get in that wave of always being at the back.
It's really tough, all right. But, you know, you do get the run around the outside, and sometimes it's the rider sort of fourth position. They're going down the back straight, coming in between turn 3 and 4. They think they're nice and safe, but the riders at the front are really safe. So they ease slightly, and everyone rolls over the top. And if you're at the back, government, I'll take the short way through on the inside. That can be the kiss of death.
Beveridge is sneaking through every single time. Looked like the Kazakhstan rider, Renata Sultanova, who was out. She was. See whether that red light comes on. She looks and says, surely that wasn't me. Beveridge has diced with death all the time here. She has almost been taken out of this race so many times. She goes round the outside one more time. Georgia Baker is just in front of her, making life difficult. Beveridge really can't afford to be out yet. She is looking strong in this Omnium, but suddenly the body is tired. Beveridge moves up. Oh, and who's out that time?
That was really tight. The bottom two down the bottom.
And it looks like the Polish rider has been taken out of the race, Daria Pikulik. Beveridge, the shoulders are hunched, the head is ducked right down. She doesn't have an awful lot left.
No, she doesn't, but she's doing well in this elimination race, fighting for every point. They all count towards your total. He's going to dig deep again, get the runoff off the banking.
Those legs must be absolutely stinging right now. Look to me like Maria Martins. Or maybe Zabelinskaya out this time. It was Olga Zabelinskaya removed from the action. There she is on the front. Down to the final 5 riders. Georgia Baker constantly looking behind, thinking, right, Beveridge has got to go sometime, and finally Beveridge has finished.
Decided I fought hard enough, that 5th place will do.
She's got to try and let the legs recover for the points race, otherwise she's going to drop right down the standings. Because these riders have got those fast twitch, sprinting muscles. Beveridge shakes the head. That's hurt a lot. There's Stenberg. 4 riders left. Valente, Georgia Baker, Maria Martins and Kajiara, the leader of this Omnium, who's riding a bit of a stealth race, just hiding in there and hasn't taken any main part.
And that's what you don't want to be talked about to this point in the bike race. She's got the sprinting speed to win this as well. Across she goes.
Maria Martins is taken out of the action. The rider who rode well in the elimination race in Hong Kong just a week ago. Down to the final three. And the final three riders, Valente, Georgia Baker, Yumi Kajihara. Valente in the stars and stripes of the USA on the front. Behind her in the gold and green is Georgia Baker, and then in the red and white is Kajihara. The next sprint coming up. Can Kajihara get through? She's having to work hard, so is Georgia Baker. Baker trying to lead this one out. Kajihara going on the outside. Valente looks good. Oh, was Valente out?
That was very tight. She may be, she's sat up, she's looking.
She let it out and she lost it in the last 5 meters. Valente is out. Georgia Baker and Kajihara. Georgia Baker, who was removed, relegated in the first race. Kajihara sticking to her now. And now the sprint starts. Georgia Baker opens up the sprint first. Kajihara's on the wheel. Can Georgia Baker lead this one out? Wow, Georgia Baker of Australia wins the elimination, beating Kajihara in the sprint.
Very good performance. Georgia Baker coming back. She hasn't let the disappointment of the scratch race where she was eliminated, as you said, Anthony. She's back. She's right amongst it going into the points race and looking very strong, very fresh.
It's impressive to come back like that and to pick itself up after being in that position and thinking, OK, let's give it a go. I'm OK. And she's going to move herself up the standings. Georgia Baker waves to the crowd after winning the elimination race. There is Kajihara. She'll still be leading. The average speed of that elimination, 47.5 kilometers an hour. So Kajihara leads now with 6 points advantage on Valente. Beveridge in third on 104, and Maria Martin still fourth on 102. Baker is recovering, now in 6th place. She's in with a chance here of winning this Omnium overall.
She is, you know, she'll go on the attack in the points race, carrying those points forward into the points race. It's going to be another tough, fast race. Just under 50 kilometres an hour in that one. And remember, that's their third event of the afternoon.
Well, so far this racing, Dell, has been as hot as the fans are.
I think it's been a little bit hotter actually out on the track. It's been some of the most electric racing I've seen. That the sprinting all day today has just been world class. Great times, fantastic competition. The women's keirin race is what we've seen so far. Again, the standard has been so high. The level since January, Anthony, has just gone up so much. It's hard to believe in that almost 12-month period just how far the cycling world's travelled.
Yeah, exactly. It's the times are getting faster, the speeds are getting higher, as we see then the 7th to 12th place ride in the women's keirin. Ursula Loss in the red and white, alongside Yuka Kobayashi. Kobayashi third in Hong Kong. Next is the winner of the team sprint here in Cambridge, Olivia Podmore of New Zealand. Then it's the other New Zealander, Les Andrews. Looking straight into the camera, nice smile from her. Kelsey Mitchell, medalist in the women's sprint. And alongside her coach just holding her up. We look here at the Derny bike. Of course, Daria Shmileva would have ridden here, but doesn't. She had that bad crash in the last round. 5 riders taking part. This is to decide the 7th to 12th places. Six laps to go then. The Denny bike will peel off with 3 laps to go as always. And all about points for World Championships and Olympic Games qualification. And Del, when you talk to the riders, we were in the cafe next to the velodrome, or in the velodrome at the break. And the coaches are watching, but the riders, all they talk about is, have I scored enough points? Do I need to go and ride another World Cup? Where am I compared to everyone else? How do the rules work? And for them, that's all their focus right now.
Oh, totally. They're using a lot of energy thinking about it. The coaches, the mathematics behind it. Of course, different countries, I guess, have different rules. For New Zealand, the more riders you qualify, the more staff you can take into the... So, you know, doing well in that team sprint was so important for us. So I'm not sure where it puts us overall. We probably need another good performance in Brisbane next week, and then maybe we can send some more development riders to Milton in January, or if you haven't got enough points, you've got to send your guns.
Coming up then to the final 2 laps, and going to the front is Ursula Loss of Poland. She doesn't want to leave anything to chance. Looks around, and Alessa Andrews is searching for the 7th place. She's going to try and pounce. Also moving up is Yuka Kobayashi. Alessa Andrews in really good company here. I kind of feel like she deserved to be in the final. Alessa Andrews leading this out, going for the front. She bouncing around a little bit. She's going to get there. Oh, Alessa Andrews, did she take it? A photo between her and Kobayashi. The speed then in the final 200, 63.994, and Alessa Andrews of New Zealand from the Subway team takes the 7th place, beating some really good riders. The youngster from New Zealand has not been in any way intimidated.
No, she's loved the experience right from getting pushed up onto the start line. The big smile, although as we heard, very relaxed when she came down to the velodrome this afternoon with the bike in the back of the car.
Confirmation then, Alessa Andrews of Subway New Zealand takes 7th place, Yuka Kobayashi takes 8th, and Podmore takes 9th place for New Zealand.
We're sitting at home. Put your seat belts on, buckle yourself in, don't get up and make a cup of tea and miss this one.
Women's keirin, the final, the one we've been waiting for. They've been riding all the way through the day to get to this point. And these riders are getting ready to come up onto the track. Hae-Jin Lee of Korea, winner in Hong Kong, alongside Lauriane Genet of Canada, the Pan American champion. Stephanie Morton of Australia, Commonwealth champion. Chris Monita Dwi of Indonesia. Lubov Basova of the Ukraine. And the winner of the sprint, Anastasia Voinova. And our Derny pacer is underway for the final time. You don't think he looks like Rowan Atkinson?
Funny you mentioned that.
Underway then in the keirin. Hae-Jin Lee of Korea at the back in the white and blue. And the Russian rider, Anastasia Voinova, takes up the position. 6 laps of the track. Voinova will want to win this for 2 reasons. One, to win, and second, to say to Dariush Mileva, look, I've got the win for Russia. And we hope that Dariush Mileva is now recovering after that big fall.
This is behind the Durney. Dwee has done so well to get into this final.
She's been a surprise, hasn't she, in this competition?
Big surprise getting up there, and also, you said, Haitian Lee rode well in Hong Kong. This is going to be one tough last 3 laps. The tactics coming into play. Stephanie Morton just backing off a little bit at the back. Now they're looking around. Where's she gone? Where's Stephanie Morton?
They brought the Durney bike up to speed very high, over 50k an hour, 52k an hour when it peeled off, and now Basova is just holding the sprint back. 3 laps to go. Morton moves on the inside.
There's Stephanie Morton with 2 to go. He's going to go for a long sprint. Setting up the other riders nicely. Dwee sitting there in 3rd wheel. If she can get out of there, she may be a big surprise in this.
Coming up then towards the bell. Voinova moving up on the outside. Bumps the elbow of Stephanie Morton. Voinova and Morton drag racing down the back straight. Morton is holding her off. Voinova, oh, look at Hai-Jin Lee. The attack of the Korean. She goes for gold. She takes it. That's 2 wins in the keirin in 2 World Cups. Hai-Jin Lee attacked like she came out of a catapult.
Wow, Hai-Jin Lee, what a performance. That kick.
What a sprint that was, Del.
Really good sprint. She just went like a bullet.
Look at this attack. Sudden acceleration around the top banking. Hai-Jin Lee came out of nowhere and just left everyone for dust.
Great work by the camera team, getting that acceleration around the outside. Just went straight past them.
Because it looked like it was a drag race between Voinova and Morton, and then suddenly the race completely changed. This rider's looking strong now. We thought the ride in Hong Kong was good, but that was something very different.
Well, to win 1, you can say you had a bit of luck. To win 2, you're just going well and getting better. And now, so she's a rider that everyone's going to have to be very aware of.
Here's the final classification in the women's keirin. Hai-Jin Lee of Korea takes the victory ahead of the Canadian Lauren Genet, and then the Australian Stephanie Morton in 3rd place. The men's sprint finals for the bronze, and it's the first ride, of course, of 3. We've got Udai Nitta up on the track in the red and white, and Nathan Hart of Australia.
So this will be another intriguing sprint battle. Udai Nitta leading, because he's drawn the front position, so he had to lead for the first part. Now he can try and encourage Nathan Hart to come through to the front. Nathan Hart quite happy at the moment to let the Japanese rider control him. He's staying close, so the Japanese rider's struggling to see him. He wants to surprise him.
Nitta on the front, Hart in 2nd place. Hart goes down the banking, starts the sprint early. Nathan Hart trying to accelerate. He knows that he needs to get a bit of an advantage on Udai Nitta, who will wind the gear up, but Hart looks like he's got the jump on him, and he's ridden that with a real clever tactics. But look at Nitta. Nitta coming back. Nitta takes it. Where did he get that acceleration from?
How does he do it? He gives himself so much work to do, so much room, and he comes into the slipstream. Oh, the gear he must be on is massive. The Australian, did he just sit up? Did Nathan Hart think he's not coming over me? I've got it, and relax a little bit.
I don't know. Let's take a look at the replay. Del, did he sit up? Or, because to me, Nitta looked like he was finished.
They come in, Nathan Hart on the inside. He's got his head down.
Oh, Nitta was just cruising, absolutely flying. Once he got the gear turning, then Nathan Hart had no chance.
The gear he's on and the energy it takes to just do it round after round.
Amazing. Well, one Japanese rider's 1-0 up in the bronze medal ride. Now we see another Japanese rider arrive on the track. Fukaya of Japan up against Mateusz Rudic of Poland.
So Mateusz Rudic set a new track record here this morning with his 9.5. But he's up against a fierce competitor who's been sprinting exceptionally well, so tactics, timing. The chainring doesn't look quite as big. The Japanese bike this time.
Tomohiro Fukaya up against Mateusz Rudic. Fukaya just hanging back a little bit. The aero overshoes on. Concentrating hard. Eyes absolutely peeled on the bike of Rudic in front of him. Moving himself up to the blue line at the top of the track. This is a very steady sprint between these two. No moves really yet. Cagey.
Very cagey. I think Rudic wants to try and keep it slow. Control the pace.
Well, I guess he knows that Fukaya's got a huge gear on and he's going to take about 150 meters to wind it up, so he wants to leave this sprint as late as he possibly can.
Yes, even though you're the fastest in qualifying, you can't take anything for granted in the match sprint if you get your timing wrong. So he moves high on the track, now he moves down. He's got to keep an eye on the Japanese rider. He's let him go high, using the banking to wind the big gear up. Here comes the Japanese now. He's got on top. He's out of his seat. You don't see that very often. So is Rudic. So he's out of his seat. He's taking him high. He's trying to hold him. He's trying to hold him up a little bit. They are racing now down the back straight.
Oh, they go elbow to elbow. Fukaya's trying to get this one. Rudic tries to hold him off. Who's going to take it? It's going to be the Polish rider who takes it 1-0. What a race that was.
Well ridden. Mateusz Rudic controlled it. Didn't let the Japanese get fully wound up. And he's got the speed and the late kick.
That was impressive to hold him off when he's accelerated that gear and keep it going round that top banking. I didn't think he could hold him off like that. That was impressive from Rudic. Here's the replay, Del.
You can see the battle, both riders tight on their lines. Mateusz Rudic, though, just fighting so hard, so strong on the inside. Of course, the shorter distance. The sprinting is so good, you wish it was the best of 5, really.
We're going to look back then at the action from the women's team pursuit. Women's team pursuit finals. The Canadian team on the track looking for the bronze medal. Up against the Subway New Zealand team. The young squad of Emily Shearman, but bringing in Raquel Sheath, Nicole Shields and Ali Wollaston. Underway for both these teams. The Canadian team, Alison Beveridge, Jasmine Doering, Annie Foreman-Mackey, Georgia Simmerling. We've seen some impressive times in the qualifications. The world record is still 4:10.236, set by Great Britain in Rio de Janeiro at the Olympic Games on the 13th of August, 2016. The team of Canada settling into the rhythm nicely, 1 second ahead. Subway New Zealand need to try and bring this one back a little bit. 1.3 seconds is the deficit. Canada looking superb so far. They've been working hard on their team pursuit, heading towards the Olympic Games. 1.5 seconds faster now. Canada 1.8 seconds ahead of the Subway New Zealand team. Can they find anything to come back through the 1,000 meters? And it's almost 2 seconds is the advantage. See there on the graphic just how close they are. Canada now turn the screw a little bit more. 1.9 seconds as they go through towards the 1,500 meter point. Canada look really cohesive. They look strong into that aero tuck. It's changing very, very well indeed. Subway New Zealand trying to come back. 3,500 meters. The Subway New Zealand team are coming back now. Canada in all sorts of difficulty. Little bit of a gap between the riders at the back, and they come up to the bell. It's 1.4 seconds. Have Subway New Zealand got anything left to come back at the Canadian team? Canada losing a rider here. The gap is big. Is it going to be big enough for Subway New Zealand to get the bronze medal? Canada hit the line, and they still maintain the advantage of 1.8 seconds. Bronze medal to Canada in the women's team pursuit. Onto the gold medal ride. Australia and New Zealand. Australia, Annette Edmondson, Ashley and Kudinoff, Alexandra Manley, 3 members of their World Championship team. They've brought in the youngster, Maeve Plouffe. New Zealand on the other side of the track, Rushley Buchanan, Holly Edmondson, Bryony Bota, Jamie Nielsen. The Australian team clearly the favourites here, with 3 members of their World Championship winning team, 3 riders in the rainbow bands. The only rider not here is Amy Cure. Amy Cure has only riding the scratch race in these events. She's had a back injury recently. And Australia settling well into the rhythm. Now also take a look at the changes of Australia. They are changing in the straights and not in the normal banking. They're trying something totally different. Look at that change. We move up to the top of the track. Apparently it ensures that the power levels are more level than if you peak going into the banking. So they believe that this is a better idea than riding the traditional way of riding a team pursuit. Coming up towards the 3,000 meter point now, and New Zealand are starting to go ahead of Australia, which is a bit of a surprise. The New Zealand team have ridden well, but they've never ridden as fast as the Australian team have done in competition. 1 second behind now the Australian squad. Now they need to find a little bit more. New Zealand are producing a memorable ride here. Holly Edmondson on the front, coming up towards the 3,000 meter point now, and New Zealand are really putting Australia under pressure. And what you can normally do is ride them to the point where they crack, and it would be unlikely for Australia to crack. They don't normally in a team pursuit. They've still got 4 riders. They're still looking strong. Coming up towards the end of this race, and New Zealand are doing the unthinkable. They're riding at 56k an hour, 1.389 seconds ahead, and New Zealand are still ahead of Australia. New Zealand riding the best team pursuit we've seen them ever ride as they make their way towards the finish line. Look at the time of New Zealand. 4:10.705. We've never seen a New Zealand team ride that fast. What a performance by the New Zealand squad. Now they have made the rest of the world think, because they weren't anticipated to be in the ballpark for the Olympic Games, because the time was maybe out of reach, but it's not out of reach anymore. There's our podium.
Yeah, definitely a big PB for us, but we've been training hard, so we're expecting something great today, and we went out there and just gave it everything.
The men's team pursuit. This is the bronze medal ride between New Zealand and the Russian Federation. New Zealand disappointed not to be in the final. The squad of Aaron Gate, Regan Goff, Dylan Kennett, Jordan Kirby, up against Nikita Bersenev, Lev Gonov, Ivan Smirnov and Kirill Sveshnikov. Settling down into the rhythm now, the Russian Federation slightly ahead. But New Zealand will want to put a marker down to let the other nations across the world recognise that they are there. They are there or thereabouts. Things didn't quite go to plan in the semi-finals, but they're in the bronze medal ride-off. Russia looking good so far. 0.07 is the advantage for the Russian squad. Both teams tracking along nicely, but New Zealand turning the pressure up. 63k an hour compared to the 60 of the Russian Federation. New Zealand turning the tide a little bit. 1,000 metres, they're ahead by 0.317. Russian Federation, a deficit of nearly half a second now. New Zealand up to 1,250 metres, and they're now nearly half a second ahead. 62 kilometres an hour. They're still riding really strongly. 0.414, the Russian Federation still holding it, so they're not out of the game yet. They can still come back at the New Zealand squad. Both these teams riding a really good race. The slipstream effect very good. The wheels, the gaps between the wheels not very big at all. New Zealand now starting to add the advantage in a little bit more. 0.784. 2,000 metres. Halfway point. Coming up now towards the end of this race, 3,250 metres have gone by. 2.5 seconds is the deficit for the Russian Federation. New Zealand starting to wander around a little bit at the back of the trio of riders. It looks like it's starting to really hurt. On the back of the Russian team is Lev Gonov. On the back of the New Zealand team, the gap is starting to open. They've just got to hold on a little bit. 250 metres to go. New Zealand are going to win this. They're going to take the bronze medal. The question is, what's the time going to be to try and send a message to the other nations? New Zealand come up to the line. 3:57.12. Spectacular ride by New Zealand. The final of the men's team pursuit, Switzerland in the gold medal ride-off against Australia. Switzerland have been the surprise package of this World Cup. They have been improving all the time in the team pursuit, but they're up against a formidable team. There's the squad. Sam Welsford, Lee Howard, Alexander Porter, Cameron Scott, the Australian team. Big start from Australia. Switzerland just trying to get the bike up to speed. The Australians, world champions, all in the rainbow bands. On the front, Alexander Porter, behind him, Sam Welsford. Settling into the rhythm, early days. What is the time going to be? There's all sorts of chat that the conditions in this velodrome are good enough to break the world record. Australia changing nicely. 0.323 is the advantage over Switzerland. So far, so good for this Australian team as Welsford kicks on at the front. On his wheel is Lee Howard. The Switzerland team being led through by Stefan Bissiger. On the back of the group, wearing number 51 is Claudio Imhoff. Australia going ahead. So far, they have ridden well. They're over the midway point. 0.4 seconds ahead, 2:32. But Switzerland are holding them, and they're holding them well. It means that Australia have just got to keep riding like this. They've got to keep the pressure on, because otherwise the Swiss team will come back. No gaps between the wheels. Everything is okay. 0.296. Australia coming back now are the Swiss team. They're starting to put them under pressure. Both teams riding at 62k an hour. Australia still with 4 riders. They go through the 3,000 metre point, still with the advantage intact. There's a few little gaps starting to open up. Switzerland looking good, but they are now piling the pressure on. Oh, Australia have got a problem. One rider's let a gap go. Switzerland are ahead by 0.175. And now suddenly the tide firmly turns in favour of Switzerland. How are Australia going to rectify this? All sorts of problems for the Australian team pursuit squad. Alexander Porter trying to close the gap. Switzerland go ahead by 0.798. The Swiss team are going to do the unthinkable. They're going to beat this Australian team, and they are going to take the gold medal in the World Cup. Australia behind, Switzerland hit the line, 3:50, 3:59. 2 seconds the advantage. Switzerland win the World Cup in Cambridge. The coach is so pleased. The hard work of this Swiss team is paying off. They didn't expect, I don't think anyone expected them to do that. There's our podium, Switzerland on the top step for the first time.
You know, you never look at the opponent, against the opponents in a race like this. You just look on your own times. The coach gives you your times, and we were all the time pretty in our pacing, and yeah, we just give it a try in the last kilometer and tried everything, and we were lucky that the Australian exploded, so we could win.
The men's sprint finals, we go back to take a look at what's going to happen here, who's going to take the bronze and who's going to take the gold and silver. The riders coming out on the track. Dale, so far then, Nitter is 1-0 up against Nathan Hart. When a rider goes back into the track centre, the coaches have got to do some work, and the sports scientists also.
You definitely have to look at how that sprint went, what may have went wrong, what went well also is really important to look at, because if you just focus on the negative, the rider can feel like I just can't do anything right. I'm doing my best out there. So you focus on a lot of the positive stuff that the rider's done, and then just, you know, go, we nearly got it. What do we have to rethink? How do we just change it up a little bit? And then the coach that's on with the winning rider, of course, they've got to try and calm them a little bit so they don't get overexcited for the next ride and make a mistake.
So much importance about the words used and everything else that happens. The riders then just getting onto the track. Nathan Hart in the white, green and gold of Australia. Nitter in the red and white. Kind of get the feeling that if Nitter gets beaten here, Nathan Hart would go on to win. He's ridden so well in the early stages. Nitter can't afford to let this go to a decider.
No, I don't think so. I think Nathan Hart, what his instructions would be to press him, just to keep Nitter pressed, keep him tight. Nitter knows that, so he's trying to take the front, take control, so he can get on top of that big gear. But the problem for Nitter will be he has to stay high to do that, and he's left it open for Nathan Hart to come back underneath. So Nathan Hart has got Nitter where he wants him, just on his hip, if you like, so he can control the pace, control the speed of the Japanese rider. They're coming to get the bell lap. Nathan Hart, he hasn't gone full gas yet. Now he's starting to kick, but he hasn't given himself a lot of room. He's left it late. Has he got enough to hold off Nitter around the outside? Nitter's got the big gear going. Nathan Hart couldn't do it.
No, Nitter wins. He takes the bronze medal, 69 kilometres an hour for the last 200. Nathan Hart looked to me earlier on like he was the race favourite for the sprint, but the Japanese sprinters are riding with great grace. The way they are producing power is incredible, and they look superb. Nitter takes the bronze now.
Well, they've had a great series here as we look at the replay. Nathan Hart, he did do everything right. He stayed high in that racing lane. He made Nitter go the long way around, but look at the strength and speed. Nitter comes down, comfortably takes it. Fantastic sprint series for Japan.
Well, Japan have one medal with the bronze. Can they now bring this back to a decider and get the gold, or is it going to be silver for the other Japanese rider? Tomohiro Fukaya comes up onto the track. Mateusz Rudic comes up.
Well, Rudic wants this 2 straight. He doesn't really want to take it to a third. He knows he's fast. If he can do everything right, the concentration, little prayer from the Japanese. He's had his fans throughout the whole 3 days here.
He just does go into this complete focus, a little prayer, a little focused moment, shuts the eyes, looks up, then he brings both his hands up to his face, then he goes on to the drops, looks across at the rider. It's so rehearsed, isn't it?
Doesn't he look right into his eyes this time as well? So he's drawn the inside, so he has to lead. He's got that great ability to look under his arm, hold his line. He'll do that till he wants to go up the track a little bit.
Super flexible, isn't he? The way he can get quite low on this bike and look round.
He's not a tall man at all, and he's got a big, long top tube on that bike. They're stretched out, so they're going to have a lot of flexibility in those hips. They must do so much work in the gym for the core strength and the flexibility.
On the front then, Tomohiro Fukaya. Behind him in the red and white with a big red stripe down the back is Mateusz Rudic. And Fukaya now starts the sprint, and he starts it early. Moving around the track, he starts to move, but Rudic starts his sprint. He comes into the slipstream. Has he got enough pace? Down the back straight. Rudic is closing. Fukaya is on top of the gear, but Rudic seems to have speed. He slingshots his way. Gold medal to the Polish rider. Well, that was well orchestrated.
He controlled that from the back brilliantly. He didn't let the Japanese rider get on top of the gear. The Japanese rider had to move up and down. That's tough on your legs. And Mateusz Rudic, second last year, the record holder on the track, takes the gold with some great sprinting. We look at that replay. He comes around the outside, staying tight, staying low, focused. The Japanese rider fighting hard, but he's used a lot of energy and never got that gear going. Really great battle. They will continue that in Brisbane. So 2 straight rides.
Game over then. Gold medal goes to the Polish rider Rudic, with Tomohiro Fukaya in second place for Japan. He takes the silver. The Japanese also take the bronze. Men's sprint classification, Rudic wins, Fukaya in second place, and Yudai Nitta in third for Japan. A very good day on the track for Japan. We'll let you digest the rest of the classification of the riders. We're getting ready then to look back at the men's omnium, the summary of what's happened over the last few days before we rejoin the points race. After 2 races, the tempo race, it's Hashimoto who leads. We're down to the last 4 now. Polikakis at the back. Roger Kluge in the colours of Germany. Cameron Meyer talking to Campbell Stewart. They close out Polikakis. Polikakis eliminated, former sprinter turned endurance rider. Down to 3. Meyer looking around all the time. Kluge has recovered from his crash in Hong Kong. Still got a little bit of a black eye. But Cameron Meyer has decided that's enough. He swings up and he goes. 2 riders left. Cameron Meyer eliminated. 2 riders will fight it out for the win in this elimination race. The crowd cheering on Campbell Stewart, the Omnium World Champion. Roger Kluge on the front, World Champion of the Madison. 2 superb riders on the track. Campbell Stewart makes his move on the outside, and Kluge's had enough. Stewart takes the Omnium elimination. Campbell Stewart now leads this Omnium, 104 points to 102. 46 laps to go in the points race. Still a group of riders trying to take a lap on the rest of the field. And they're coming up now to do that. It looks like they're going to. They're going to take this lap, and they are closing in. So a group of Meyer, Kluge, Stewart. Also in there is the rider from the United States of America, Daniel Holloway. 44 laps to go, and a load of riders take a lap. Also Zakharov of Kazakhstan. The crowd give him a round of applause. 43 laps to go. Big attack at the front. Confirmation then that 6 riders took a lap. Meyer, Kluge and Stewart, the important ones in terms of the overall, with Zakharov. Big attack then from China, from Guo Liang. 42 laps to go, an advantage of 30 to 40 meters. Big chase going on. Sprint number 6 happening now. Guo Liang at the front of the race. A bit of an advantage back to the world champion Campbell Stewart. He takes 2nd place. Falutis of Hungary takes 3rd. And Cameron Meyer scores the points for 4th, which should keep Cameron Meyer up towards the top of the leaderboard. There's confirmation of sprint number 6. Just coming up to 17 minutes of racing. There's Roger Kluge, the German rider. Campbell Stewart leads. His advantage now is 6 points on Artyom Zakharov and Cameron Meyer. Still quite tight as far as the overall is concerned. Cameron Meyer on the front, 31 laps to go. 1 lap to go to the next sprint. Campbell Stewart tucked in on the wheel. He looks around to see where everyone else is, and Campbell Stewart starts to accelerate. Cameron Meyer isn't able to respond. Stewart takes it. He scores the maximum points. Claudio Imhoff took some points that time. 19 minutes of racing gone. Here's the standings after, well, that's the points on sprint number 7. Campbell Stewart 5, Imhoff 3. The world champion just enjoying playing on this track. He now has a 10-point advantage on Cameron Meyer, 11 points on Zakharov. Campbell Stewart seems to have superb form right now. Let's hope he can hold it to the World Championships. The rider's trying to get across. Artyom Zakharov on the hunt as well. This is Lung in the blue and white of Hong Kong, China, but Tissot in the Zuri blue. And these riders are taking time on the peloton right now. 20 laps to go. 5 points to Lung Ka-yu, with Tissot taking 3. They're still there, and they're still going away. Zakharov has moved into second place, with Cameron Meyer in third. No doubt about the leader. 12 laps to go. Cameron Meyer on the front. On his rear is Campbell Stewart. Zakharov still looking interested in fourth place. So is Hashimoto of Japan. And Campbell Stewart, more points for him in the penultimate sprint. 5 points for Campbell Stewart. Hashimoto takes 3, Meyer takes 2. Campbell Stewart there, confirmation that he took it ahead of Hashimoto, Meyer and Zakharov. Let's just have a little think about the overall standings before we get to the final sprint. 142 points. He can't really be beaten now, Campbell Stewart. Now the final lap. And a big sprint from Cameron Meyer going around the top. He accelerates. Also on the wheel is Guo Lang, but Cameron Meyer trying to hold him off. Guo Lang is going to take the maximum points. Cameron Meyer scores some points, but no doubt as to who the winner is. He is the world champion, Campbell Stewart. 54 kilometers an hour was the points race. Campbell Stewart celebrates in front of the crowd. There's the final standings. Campbell Stewart wins the Omnium, back-to-back wins. He also took Hong Kong. There's our podium this time.
I like to use my brain and try and follow riders at the right times, go for the right sprints, but yeah, they definitely chuck a few issues in there for me every now and then, push the pace, and I just have to make sure I try and respond, and sometimes it works out, other times it doesn't, but today it all came together nicely.
The women's Omnium, the start of the final race, with Yumi Kajihara the leader. Steady start. The riders just getting into formation. The points race, of course, important. 20 points for gaining a lap, 5 points for taking a sprint. Kajihara is the leader after 3 races with 116 points. Valente with 110. Beveridge just behind. Ashley Buchanan suffering down there in 14th place after that heavy crash. And Aline Seitz down on 8 points at the bottom of the leaderboard. 21 riders in the peloton. Dell, we're coming up to the next sprint. It's been an interesting race so far. These 3 riders looking good.
They're looking good, just about ready to take a lap. The Italian rider started. She's also taken the first sprint. So it's been a very aggressive start to this race. The big favourites, those at the top of the leaderboard, we're quite happy to let them go. As they get onto the back, I think this will be the first lap taken, so that'll move them up the leaderboard.
Sultanova, Lee, Gazzini took the points then, and they've taken 20 points now, so confirmation that Kajihara also scored 1 point, but things will move around a little bit as far as the 6th and 7th places are concerned. Confirmation then that Kajara leads, a 7-point advantage on Valente, with Beveridge in 3rd, Maria Martins in 4th. But in terms of those points taken, Gardzini now's moved into 10th. Lee Chu-Wing has taken 7th place, and Sultanova has taken 6th place.
Yeah, it's a good, a nice move early in the race, right from the start. It was Italy. Rushley Buchanan is out there, so she wasn't looking too good in the elimination when she got off her bike, but she's back out there racing, going on the attack now. Wants to finish well in front of her home crowd. A lot of support for her. She heads down the back, and it's Rushley's position down there in 15th place. The field doesn't really have to react if they don't want to.
It's amazing, isn't it, how riders cannot walk when they get off the bike, but put them on the bike and they're okay.
Oh, they're tough characters, aren't they? They get off, like you say, she could hardly walk, so they've taken her away, they've got a new skin suit on, they've patched the wounds, put her on the rollers, given her some food, some drink. And she goes, if you weren't at home, you wouldn't race. Exactly.
She needs to race in front of the home crowd. Zabelinskaya now going on the attack from the front of the peloton. Zabelinskaya is a fast time trialist, and right on her wheel is the Kazakhstan rider who's gritting her teeth trying to stay there, Renata Sultanova. Zabelinskaya swings up the track, and Anita Stenberg in 3rd place in the colours of Norway.
Sultanova, she'll be having to be a little bit careful. She's taken the laps. You don't want to chase everything. You want to chase the right one and try and get away on another break, pick up some more points, so they've settled down, and that's exactly, she's tucked in there in 2nd wheel, riding very well. Picked the move.
Kajara then, sorry Dale, Kajara at the top of the leaderboard, 117 points, with Valente 2nd. We haven't seen an assault from Valente yet.
No, the field's waiting for it like we are, I'm sure, but she's covered everything very easily, but she's going to have to do something, because Kajihara at the top of the leaderboard is looking very, very good.
9 minutes of racing have gone by, 50 laps to go. Things have calmed down a little. There's Valente at the bottom of the track in the Stars and Stripes. Can she now get the advance she's looking for? But Kajihara just following her all the time. Stenberg at the top of the point standings that time in sprint 3, ahead of Zabelinskaya, Sultanova and Amber Joseph. Valente swings up, looks around. Kajihara 7 points ahead of Valente. Beveridge on 104, Martins on 102. Now, looking at this, the USA are just being tracked by Japan all the time. What happens if we see an attack from Beveridge Martins here?
Yes, I think that would be a great move. Beveridge, Martins, and throw in Georgia Baker, who wouldn't mind moving up the leaderboard, and that's going to put a lot of pressure. I think Valente would respond, because that's the sort of rider she is, and that's exactly what she's done there, and straight down. Sees a little move go, covers it straight away.
Valente looking for an opportunity. Ashley Buchanan gritting teeth, making sure she gets through this one. Finishes the Omnium, then she'll worry about the injuries tonight and tomorrow. Kajihara in the red and white, riding a defensive race here. That's why it's not flat-out action. She's just being clever.
She's being clever, and Valente's moved her off her wheels, so that's what she wanted. She wants to be able to surprise the Japanese rider if she's going to launch an attack. But Alison Beveridge, she's generally an aggressive sort of rider.
To me, in that elimination, though, didn't she have sore legs?
Oh, really sore legs. How do you recover? It's 3 big endurance races already done. Then you come into the hardest of them all to finish off.
It's totally lined out now. The riders go into more of a huddle at the front as they go to the top of the banking, and anyone who's suffering at the back right now go, thank goodness for that. It's calmed down. Now I can just get my breath back for just a moment. Chilkova now at the front. And Maria Martins is the rider now in the white and kind of wine-coloured kit, who's at the top of the track. She's riding well, 4th overall. Zavalin Sky looking for any opportunities she can find.
Yes, you've got to keep looking, you've got to keep trying. You can't just let this race play into the hands of the Japanese rider, and the longer it's bunched up, the longer they're spread out across the track, and there's no real pressure on. That's going to suit her. She goes to the front and covers it. There's another sprint coming up, so she'll lead it out. Valente sits outside her. She wants to get over the top if she can. They go down the back straight, but the Japanese rider's travelling well. Kicks a bike length in front. Valente's going to have to settle for second.
Yeah, not good news there for Jennifer Valente. Kajihara scores maximum points, 5 points to her, 3 points to Valente, 2 to Beveridge, 1 to Pikalik, which means that the top 3 still remain, Kajihara, Valente and Beveridge, but Kajihara has extended her advantage to 9 points in total now. Let's just take a look at the classification. There is Kajihara, 122, Valente now on 113. And Beveridge on 106, with Martins just a few points behind. That's left Valente with a lot of work to do to beat the Japanese rider.
Yes, he really needs to launch an attack. Without the Japanese rider, pick up at least 1 sprint. Here's a big attack.
That's a big move from the rider of Mexico, Lisbeth Salazar. Goes clear. Salazar at this moment in time is way down on the standings, so she won't be bothered by normally the chasers. However, Georgia Baker has gone on the attack, and joining her is the New Zealand rider, I think, Buchanan, who looks across. He's almost there. Baker has swung up the track again, and Lisbeth Salazar has continued the attack. Georgia Baker now closing her down. Lydia Boylan on the wheel from Ireland.
So this is what you want, some pressure being applied to the leaders from some of the other riders. Georgia Baker has a look over her shoulder. They're all happy to follow her up the track. No, straight away, someone else decides it's time to go. There's only 35 laps to go. If you're going to change the race, you've got to do it now.
Kajihara, though, she's just a clever rider. She's very good with the sprints, but she also doesn't exert energy where it's not required, and still manages to do it without everyone screaming and shouting at her and thinking, do some work. She does it cleverly. She just rides in the right position at the right time, makes the right moves, and is faster in the sprint.
That's right, letting the other riders do some of the work for you and just reacting quickly, using your speed to react to the attack. You can say, well, I'm just covering. When you're at the top, you can get away with it. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to be the aggressor.
Going ahead now at the front. One rider going clear. It's the rider from the Israel Cycling Academy team, Anastasia Chulkova. Israel Cycling Academy is going to be a World Tour men's team next season, and they've added some great riders to that squad, including Dan Martin and other riders. Now the big sprint starts, and Alison Beveridge goes for it on the outside. Jennifer Valente looking for maximum points, trying to put distance between her and Kajihara. Beveridge is trying to stay in there, so that's good news for Jennifer Valente. She scores 5, Beveridge 3, Kajihara scores 2. So Jennifer Valente closes the gap by 3 points that time.
Yes, that was a good sprint. Kajihara, though, reacted straight away. I thought they might have tried to keep it going, put the pressure on her. So they've got to try and gap her. There she goes, she sits high on the track.
Kajihara 6 points ahead. The game's not over yet, is it?
No, not at all. Remember, double points on the last sprint. There's 28 laps to go.
Valente's gambling a little bit here, isn't she? That she can pick up some points and then win the final sprint.
That's her plan. It is a gamble, though. You're dead right. You really would like to try and win that sprint from a small group without Kajihara, but I don't think she'll be shaking off the Japanese rider easily.
Valente looks pretty comfortable sitting in this peloton. You just see the way that she rides. She's just sitting in there, doesn't look troubled in any way. There's a few riders starting to suffer. Maria Martin's lying in 4th place, doing exactly what she did in Hong Kong, and that's suffering badly in the final race of the Omnium competition. She's just lacking that little bit of stamina. Zabelinskaya on the front of the little group of riders who are trying to go clear.
Well, it takes a little bit of time, doesn't it, to adjust to riding 4 races in such a short time. Endurance races, you've got to learn what works best for you, how you recover, so you can come back out there, you get yourself into that 4th position. You want to be able to get up onto the podium, so you've got to think about your race. Rushley Buchanan decides, well, we'll give it another go. The body is absolutely screaming at me.
Only 4 laps to go to the next sprint. Rushley Buchanan goes clear. She's joined by the Italian rider, Vittoria Guazzini.
Of course, in this suit schedule, Harry, riders going away, picking up the points with just 3 laps to go to the next sprint. If they stay out there, the big points go. Makes it a little bit harder for Valente to close the gap. She's high on the track, being tracked by Alison Beveridge. Rushley Buchanan.
These 2 riders starting to open up their advantage. Looking good so far. Zabelinskaya trying to drill this back a little bit. Rushley Buchanan in good company with Vittoria Guazzini, who rides for the Valcar Silence team on the road. She was 9th in Brabantse Pijl this year, 5th in the National Time Trial Championships of Italy. Just trying to get some points here. That's Georgia Baker. Only 18 years of age is Guazzini. One of these young Italian riders who are certainly looking superbly strong. That little group of riders like Paternoster, Guazzini and others.
Well, we've had some great battles at the junior level with Italy, New Zealand and Italy head-to-head in the team's pursuits many times in the junior women's programs.
Georgia Baker comes across. She took 2 points that time. Let's take a look at the points situation. 19 laps to go. All riders clear. Kajara leads, 125 points. 7-point advantage on Valente. Beveridge now on 109. Martin's on 102. As things stand then, the battle for the medals is kind of being decided, but Kajara and Valente, still not really any clear decision between those riders. 7 points is still enough for Valente to close the gap and win this race.
Yes, Valente, I think, really needs to win the next sprint, though. She needs to cover this and make sure she gets the points, give herself a better chance in that final sprint, but they've let them go again, so a couple of riders down the classification. Steinberg, swing up, they don't want to work together.
Amber Joseph going clear from the peloton in the yellow and blue of Barbados. Behind her is Maria Martins, who was suffering earlier, but now manages to extend the pace a little bit more. On her wheel was Alison Beveridge of Canada. Meanwhile, these 2 riders are clear. Stenberg in the red, white and blue of Norway, and Zabelinskaya in the blue of Uzbekistan. In the front of the peloton, Valente doesn't want to do too much work, but still needs to do enough to stay out of difficulty in the peloton.
Yeah, it's a good move from these 2 riders, timed it perfectly, 15 to go. If you get a big enough gap, you can get the points. You might get close enough to them to get a lap, and then you're still in the hunt for the last sprint.
Zabelinskaya swings up the track, lets Stenberg go through. Stenberg looks across. Stenberg working well with Zabelinskaya here. That will move them up onto 87 points and 85 points respectively for Zabelinskaya and Stenberg. Now the Irish rider goes clear, Lydia Boylan. This is an interesting move because Boylan is 9th overall on 75 points.
Yes, he definitely wants to get herself up there. The peloton, though, they're not really letting them go. They're keeping them in touch. The bell goes.
Penultimate sprint, 11 laps to go. Sprint number 7 of 8. And Zabelinskaya and Stenberg still at the front. Olivia Boylan in the gap between the riders. Boylan is a really good road rider, being hunted down here by Beveridge. Can she get to the line? Stenberg takes the 5. Zabelinskaya scores 3. Beveridge scores 2. Boylan scores 1 point for Ireland. Still Zabelinskaya cruising along at the front, trying to bring this to 20 points for taking a lap. Confirmation then that Stenberg took 5, Zabelinskaya took 3, Beveridge took 2, Boylan took 1. And here's the standings with 1 more sprint to go. Remember, double points on the last lap. Kajihara 125, Valente on 118, still 7 points. So it's a big ask for Valente now to close that gap. If Kajihara scores any points, she's won this bike race.
Yes, and look where she's positioned herself, right on the wheel pretty much from lap number 1. The Japanese rider is stuck to the American, they're high on the track. And she won't mind if riders go away. Japanese rider can ride very defensively, now defend the lead, the pressure's on. Jennifer Valente to do something to win the sprint and somehow gap herself and put 3 riders in between her and the Japanese rider. It's a big ask with 7 laps to go.
Zabelinskaya moves down the track. Stenberg is still with her. Everyone else behind is a little bit more cagey. Zabelinskaya trying to rid herself of Stenberg, who's not doing any work right now. 23 minutes have gone. Kajihara has 125 points, Valente 118, Beveridge 111. So the medals seem to be going to those 3. $10 points on offer. Kajihara has attached her wheels with Velcro to the back of Jennifer Valente. She doesn't want her to go anywhere. Valente has tried everything, but so far she hasn't got away. Georgia Baker at the front, 4 laps to go.
Well, Georgia Baker, I thought she was just going to go into a big lead out from 4 to go, bring it all back together. Rushley Buchanan going after the leaders to try and take the last sprint. They'll come around 3 to go.
Big move by Rushley Buchanan. Valente is towards the front of the peloton with Kajihara on her wheel, using the remote control, just saying, stay there and I win the race. The top 3 are all together. Still, Zabelinskaya and Stenberg lead. Going across is Rushley Buchanan. 2 laps to go.
Well, with 2 to go, can they bring it back and be sprinting for the 10 points?
Doesn't look like it's going to happen. Valente's trying to close up with Kajihara on her wheel. Stenberg at the top of the track. 1 lap to go. Stenberg with Zabelinskaya. Now they open up the final sprint. Stenberg is looking to move herself up into the 8th place overall. Kajihara is even going to attack Valente as they make their way into the finish. So it's going to be the final sprint to Stenberg, 2nd place to Zabelinskaya, 3rd place to Kajihara, who wins the Omnium. Well, she rode so well, didn't she? All the way through this. She won the scratch race. She was up there in the tempo race in 2nd place. She was up there in the elimination. She wins overall.
Yeah, very, very good performance, dominant performance. That's how you win in the Omnium. Make no mistakes, put yourself in the position. She's preparing nicely for the Olympic Games. She'll certainly go into the Omnium as one of the riders to beat.
Yeah, who would bet against her in the women's Omnium? Yeah, Kirsten Wield's going to arrive. That's going to add another dimension to it. But this rider's got a real chance in the women's Omnium of winning the Olympic Games.
Yeah, if she can control the race like that, follow the riders. She's a little bit like the Polakakos. She's got the sprint and the endurance. And you're going to have to ride very aggressively and gap her. She's getting better as well. The more opportunities she gets to race World Cup Omniums, the more experience.
Yeah, for me, she's a rider who you would look at the start list in Tokyo and say, okay, she's got a chance. She can win the gold medal. She's won enough World Cups now that everyone is a bit concerned. Kajihara wins the Omnium overall. So a victory for Yumi Kajihara, 129 points. Jennifer Valente on 118, and Beveridge will take the bronze medal for Canada on 111. Kajihara waving to the crowd. The riders making their way out onto the track. An emotional Kajihara. She always smiles. She doesn't show too much emotion otherwise. That's an impressive performance. That's a lot of emotion from Kajihara. The ice in her neck to cool her down.
Obviously, this win means a lot to her. They've had a great World Cup.
Well, I think for me, this means, I think that she has qualified for the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
I think this is the outflow of emotion of realizing that it will happen. I have to say, you don't see Japanese normally show this much emotion like this. This is, it means a huge, huge amount to her. The men's scratch race. This is our final live race of this evening. We'll bring you the women's Madison action as well before the end, but this is the start list of the men's scratch race. Looking at the points then, before we get this scratch race underway, Del, you're just taking a look at the World Cup rankings.
Yeah, I think you did right with the emotion being shown there. Yumi Kajihara at top of the World Cup rankings. In round two, she picked up 375 points. And of course, the two wins, Hong Kong and New Zealand 500, so 1375 points puts her at the top of the UCI rankings. So that gets her definitely a start for the World Championships. Should put her into the Olympic Games comfortably, and no wonder the Japanese team was celebrating.
Big moment. Little neutralised lap until the judges are happy with the peloton all together. Then they'll fire the gun and get this race underway. This is the men's scratch race. There's no complications in this, apart from if a rider takes a lap. Other than that, it's the first rider to cross the line who will be the overall winner. In this then, Del, a few big names. We should have an interesting race. It's 60 laps of the track, and it's just normally flat out.
Yes, it goes by quickly, doesn't it? It goes flat out. Some of the riders backing up. Just having a look, Adrian Hedgevar, he rode the Madison. He's jumped in here. Christoph Polakakos, he will be looking to hide and use his sprint. Riding for New Zealand, Nick Kyrgyzou. George Jackson, I know he's trying a new handlebar in this race. He's riding for the New Zealand development team. He'll be in the Southern Spars colours.
Riders just doing their little bit of work on the front, just showing willing, really, and making sure that everyone realises that they've done some work on the front. Going through towards the front now, the rider from Kazakhstan. There's Roman Gladish from the Ukraine, wearing number 59. Polish rider on the front in the red and white coloured kit. That's Bartosz Rudic. Number 63 goes to the top of the banking. That's Murajan Kulmaratov of Uzbekistan. Roy Ifting on the front. Didn't have a good omnium, did he, Roy Ifting?
No, he didn't. I spoke to Roy at the start of the UCI Track World Cup here, and he said really the focus was the scratch race. So this is the race he wants to win. He will be hoping his legs, they were a little bit better than the omnium, because he struggled in all the events.
Yeah, he just didn't really have it at all, and in Hong Kong he looked a lot stronger. At the front, Kazakhstan in the turquoise and yellow. Artem Zakharov. Ireland represented in there by Fintan Ryan, 136. There is Fintan Ryan. 2 minutes go by, 53 laps to go.
Yeah, so generally in the scratch race like this, you'll find someone will launch an attack at some stage. It's George Jackson high on the track in the all grey, the Southern Spars colours. He's riding a new handlebar that the New Zealand team have registered. It's got the little grips on the top, if you like. So he's trying them out.
Yeah, I've noticed some of the riders in the Italian team have got these handlebars that look like they've got a brake lever on them. It's like, so it's almost like holding on a brake lever. I'm just checking to see whether the Italian rider Carlberto Giordani has got these new bars, and it means like he can hold the bars as though he's riding on his road bike. The Italian rider towards the back, I think he has. We've got these little blocks shaped like brake levers. There we are, you can see them there, the Italian rider.
That's then, and George Jackson, who's the second rider, or just going through now in the grey, sitting 4 back. He's got a very similar handlebar as well. So he's on the wheel, he flicks. That's Nick Gazoo going through. George Jackson swings up the track. Gets onto the wheel of Volokakos. Nick Gazoo, he'll want to finish this on a high. He saw the ride of Campbell Stewart and Aaron Gate. So he'll want to do the same in the scratch race.
Yeah, they'll be motivated by that. A member of the Team Pursuit team of New Zealand, as we see another big attack, and it comes from number 34. This is Artem Zakharov. Gets a little bit of an advantage, going clear.
So Zakharov, he's away, he has a little look across, and it's in a scratch race, it's like climbing a mountain, isn't it? You can make the acceleration, you can get the gap, but then holding it is something else. You can kick and get it, but the peloton can always hunt you down.
It's like a 60-lap mountain, isn't it?
It is really, at 60k an hour almost.
On the front, the Swiss rider trying to up the tempo a little bit. Just swinging through, Mauro Schmidt. Calm now until everything kicks off, and I'm sure it will do, as we see yet again at the front of the race, Roman Gladish. 3 riders combining. And a Japanese rider going across. There's number 222, who is riding for the New Zealand team, George Jackson. There's those bars that you were talking about then, Dell, those interesting bars that almost look like they've got brake levers. They're really narrow, and they really have a shallow drop in them.
They do have a shallow drop, and they looked a little bit flat across the top as well. I think it's a bar they're experimenting with for the Omnium and also the Madison.
So that's 2 riders in here, the Italian and the Australian rider, who've got these little brake levers almost. It's funny, over the last 2 seasons, maybe 3 seasons, if you look at young riders on the road, so many of them have got their brake levers turned very slightly in, tilted over, and it's almost like they're an aero bar. And it's become a real fashion that these young riders are using. They're not worried too much about the braking. They're more worried about how aero the bike is.
I know, and that the UCI years ago, they banned the Spinacci bar,
They did.
which was giving the same sort of thing and probably a safer position to ride in than what's currently being used, with turned-in handlebars and brake levers right down over the drops.
You're absolutely right, but they just think, okay, well, I'm comfortable on the bike and I can handle the bike, no problem at all. But we were at a race recently, we were just looking at all the winners and all the young riders, and yep, all the bike turned in, everyone leaning over, elbows leaning on the handlebars. They just ride like that.
They do. I have seen a couple of horrendous crashes when they've been on the brakes, on that aero position, but not really hanging on tight, hit a bump and the old slip, down they go.
Yeah, ask Ben Swift and Geraint Thomas what happens when you hit a bump at high speed and you land with your chest on the handlebars. Geraint Thomas famously, of course, with that big crash very early in his career where he crashed in Australia doing that and broke his sternum. 36 laps to go.
A lot of movement in the field, isn't there? A lot of movement in the middle of the bunch. Riders marking their favourite, the guy they think is going to be the danger man to launch the attack.
Now Chin Ying is gone clear for Hong Kong, China. Polakakis is still up towards the front. For Greece in the blue and white, he swings up the track. It's got to be a good race for him with that sprint that he has.
Yes, the more it stays together for Polakakis, he will try and cover what he has to without using any energy at all. He drifts down towards the back. He's got the white, long white helmet and the blue and white colours of Greece, with the white with the blue.
33 laps to go. The Hong Kong China rider on the attack, still with a little bit of an advantage. Look at his hand position on the bike, leaning right over. The hands are gripping underneath the bars, trying to get as aero as he possibly can, and he has quite a big advantage now. Remember, if he laps the field, then that's pretty much it when we are so close to the end of the race, and everyone else is looking around at each other, and this rider might surprise and take the victory. Has he got the legs to get across?
Well, it's really starting to hurt Roy. Everything he tried to go through, he did a really big turn on the front, swung up, and no one else really committed. Now Nick Kyrgyzou goes through. He's going to try and do the same. The Italian, he doesn't want to chase either. He looks up the track, leaves it to Ireland.
Carlo Alberto Giordani, he swings up the track, and everyone else follows. It's coming back slowly but surely.
You need 2 or 3 riders, they don't you, to be committed for a couple of good half-flat turns each. Bring it back together. You know Polakakis won't do that.
29 laps to go. We're at the midway point of this scratch race, and no one really has managed to get more than just a couple of seconds. Still, the rider from Hong Kong, China, has an advantage on the rest of the peloton, but they can see him in front of them.
Yes, it's starting to really hurt now. He's looking across to see where they are. He knows they're coming back at him, so the challenge for him will be to recover and be able to get back in when they pick him up with 27 to go. But they've set up a little bit.
They seem happy that they'll be able to bring him back, so they've ratcheted back the pace a little. How has he got the flexibility to do that, the way he's gripping on the bars? The Chinese rider goes through to the front at Guo Liang. Now it is Carlo Alberto Giordani of Italy. It's a lovely shot across this arena, the Avanti Drome, which has hosted these World Cup events so well for over the last few days. Del, we've been blessed with some amazing racing.
Oh, we have, this is the 3rd World Cup we've had in the Velodrome, and of course the standard being leading into an Olympics is the highest I've seen, and it's been a real privilege to call such great racing with you, Anthony. And the standard that's going to go on for the next 2 rounds of the Tissot UCI World Cup, Brisbane, and then on into Milton in January, leading into the World Champs and on to the Olympics. It's going to be a sensational 8 or 9 months of cycling.
It is. We've witnessed some great racing. Hope you've all enjoyed the action that we brought you today and the last 2 days if you've been watching. Fintan Ryan of Ireland goes clear now to try and drill this up a little bit. We're getting towards the important end of this scratch race. You've got to have conserved your energy, but you've also got to have marked the moves. Making his way down to the bottom of the track, and now they swing back up. It is all over the place. The Belarusian at the front now is Yehuni Kavialok. Jordani goes through again, swings up, takes the pace out. No one prepared to do the work.
George Jackson goes up the track in the grey, the Southern Spars New Zealand trade team kit. Keep an eye on Volokakos. The race has suited him quite well. There he goes, the white helmet. Very fast.
Yeah, he's very fast, and he's in a perfect position. Blue shorts, white jersey, white helmet. Another move from Fintan Ryan of Ireland. He drops down the track. Roy Efting goes with him. Efting fancies the chance of going away with this Irish rider. Peloton just whooshed through. 19 laps to go. Stretched again. Everyone goes to the top of the track. Ninka got to in the black of New Zealand.
So they look at the top of the track. Volokakos, he doesn't move very far out of the first 5 riders. He's always covering and never doing too much work.
A little bit of an advantage for one rider. Japanese rider has gone. He's out of the race. He's been given the red flag, Kitaro Sawada. So no more medals to Japan. One rider slightly clear of the rest of the peloton, making his way down the back straight now. I think it's Kalmuratov. Yes, it is the Uzbekistan rider. 15 laps to go. Everyone's starting to wind the pace up a little bit more. Another attack comes from the Mexican rider, I think, Ignacio Prado, just out of camera shots. The Uzbekistan rider continues with this attack, looking very comfortable. There's our attacker, Uzbekistan, and the next rider coming across. Everyone is now lined out, 14 laps to go. Things are starting to hot up in this peloton.
Well, they are stringing out, so it's a dangerous time in the bike race. You've got to be very alert. You'll often see inside the last 10 someone launch a big attack and try and hang on. It can be a good time to do it.
Fintan Ryan flicking the elbow, looking at the Chinese rider, saying, come on, do some work. And now Kalmuratov is caught. Roy Efting is on the front of the peloton, 12 laps to go. Also near the front is the Swiss rider, Mauro Schmidt. Efting looking around, and now an attack just on cue, as you said, just outside the 10 laps to go. Roman Gladish goes away, wearing number 59 for the Ukraine. Everyone looks around at each other as he settles into the aero position.
Yeah, Roman Gladish, he's made the move at possibly the right time, because Volokakos doesn't want to go through. George Jackson doesn't want to go through the Italian. He moves up as well, Kazakhstan. But what a move. The Ukraine, Gladic, Roman Gladic, as it's the 10 to go. It is cat and mouse in the peloton. Roy Efting just sits about 10 from the back, high on the track.
This could be a perfect move for the Ukrainian. Roman Gladish trying to steal the scratch race away from the sprinters. He's well into this attack now. Sitting right forward on the saddle, keeping the pressure on. There is Volokakis, he's gambling. Sometimes you have to gamble. You have to risk losing to win. A crash for the Polish rider. Bartosz Rudic hits the deck.
Yes, he's been working well. He's been looking good, but just a little bit of a tip of a wheel, maybe. We'll just have a look, see what happened. Oh, high on the track as well. Lucky he was the only one that came down.
Somehow he managed to hold on. João Matisse hitting him really hard. but he's back up. He's going to get back on the track.
We join the action. It's still Roman Gladish. 6 laps to go, mouth wide open. Adrian Hedgebury, you wouldn't have think he's just rode a Madison. 200 laps at 60, almost 60k an hour. He's gone on the attack as well.
He's trying to stretch this race out now. Roman Gladish still has an advantage, and he's got a good advantage. There's Hedgebury. He's looking around to see whether anyone is able to go with him. Another move at the bottom of the track. Everyone looks around. Roman Gladish is still away. And Giordani swings up and takes the pace out of the peloton. 5 laps to go, and Gladish still has an advantage.
He does. He's travelling well, unless someone really can miss. Adrian Hedgebury set it up for them to close it down, and Volokakos, he didn't want to move. So they all swung up the track, 4 to go. Roman Gladish, they deserve something out of this World Cup. The Ukraine, they got bumped all around the boards in the Madison.
This is looking possible. This is looking like a possible win for the Ukraine. Gladish is not too far off the back of the peloton, and he's going to possibly lap them. This is looking very, very good for the Ukraine. But now the reaction comes, and it's Ignacio Prado who says no way he's going to do this. Gladish on the attack, 2 laps to go.
Well, it looks like he's got a big lead, but he's going back. He's trying to sit on 50 kilometres an hour, 55, and hold it. The peloton's right, winding up. They're getting up to 65 kilometres an hour, so they can close it down quickly. He's got 250 metres to go. He gets the bell, Roman Gladish, but look at the reaction from behind. Here's Roy Efting coming. The Dutchman flying out of the pack. He's going after Roman Gladish. Can Gladish hang on?
This is looking really close. Efting is closing in. Gladish wins. Gladish takes the scratch race ahead of Roy Efting. Somehow he held on. 52.258 kilometres an hour. Gladish wins the scratch race, and he beats Efting, and Volokakis is in 3rd.
What a great performance. Well, we mentioned that it's about the right time to attack if you're brave enough, and Roman Gladish certainly was brave enough. He went with 12, going in a bit before the 10 that I thought he might have gone at, or someone would launch the attack, but it was perfect timing. What a ride.
Well, you predicted that. 12 laps to go, and he wins by a few bike lengths. That was stunning. Here's all the riders. He went with 12 laps to go. Big attack. And then he never came back. He looks around and he sits up. He's got time to celebrate, and everyone else is just a few bike lengths behind. They left it too late. He outwitted them all.
Wow, what a ride, what a performance. He went, you know, you've got to go at 95%, but keep a little bit in the tank, because you know they're going to come back at you. Roy Efting, he came for the scratch race. He takes away the silver medal.
That was a thrilling end to that race. Let's take a look then at the standings. Roman Gladish takes the men's scratch race. Roy Efting takes the silver medal, and Christos Volokakis takes the bronze. Now we're going to take a look back at the women's Madison. .44 laps to go in this women's Madison. 22 minutes have gone by now. Here's the standings. Australia looking good on 22 points. The Australian pairing, Georgia Baker and Alexandra Manley. Tucked in on the wheels, the American pairing. Kendall Ryan. But Baker and Manley looking very strong so far. An attack from the Ukraine. This is Anna Narina going clear, trying to put her and Ganna Solovey in a good position. 41 laps to go. Oh, big crash. huge crash as riders hit the deck. .40 laps to go, 23 minutes of racing, and all the riders on the deck. The rider from the Subway New Zealand team looks like she's a little bit hurt here. Michaela Drummond, the Irish rider, also hit the deck. Ukraine took 5 points that time. Poland took the second place points. 37 laps to go. Can she get back on the bike? The team are just checking that she's okay. Australia lead, Poland in second place. Subway New Zealand in third. Needs to get back on the bike if she's okay, but they won't let her get back on the bike unless she's sure. Bronze medalist in the World Championship in the team pursuit, Michaela Drummond, injured, talking to the soigneur and the coaches. And look at the road rash, the track rash, sorry, on that left hip. But she's now going to get back on the bike. Her teammate doing the right thing, Jessie Hodges, just staying at the front of the peloton, trying to calm things down until Michaela Drummond feels ready to get back into the race. They want to defend this bronze medal on the front. Georgia Baker continues, silver medalist in the World Championships in the Madison with Amy Cure, World Championship team pursuit winner. 31 laps to go. Big attack at the front comes from China. Australia trying to get in on the move again. China with the big attack. It's Lu Jiao and Wang Chaofei. They're going to take the maximum points. Not too many sprints left to go as we approach the half-an-hour point. Still the Australian team dominating this women's Madison. Baker and Manley. 5 points to China, 3 to Australia. They continue to secure points. Australia on 26, Poland on 23, Subway New Zealand on 12. Can they hold on to this bronze medal position, the Subway New Zealand team? They've been impressive so far despite that crash. Now the next sprint starts to tee itself up. And it looks like at the back of the group, all the action, riders trying to hold on. And oh, a missed handsling by the Subway New Zealand team just at a terrible moment. Michaela Drummond just missed the handsling. And Australia take the maximum points again behind China, then the United States of America. Georgia Baker secures more points. Australia take 5. It looked like Subway New Zealand were going to be right in there to secure some high points, but it didn't happen with that missed handsling, a missed opportunity. Well, now Subway New Zealand dropped down to 4th place. You've got to think that Michaela Drummond has taken such a hard fall. You can't blame her for missing a handsling. Ukraine now go on the attack again. Anna Marina. Her teammate Gana Solovey will be thrown into the action. Sprint 10. Sprint 11 on the 10th lap to go. It's getting close in here. Ukraine take the maximum points, but Subway New Zealand looked to me like they took the points in second place. They did. That's going to move them up into the bronze medal position. Now they go clear with 9 laps to go. A big move here by Subway New Zealand. And you look around, do they continue with the attack? They decide not to. 9 laps to go. Well, now they're still down in 4th place. There's 1 point between them and the Ukraine. Still Australia leads. The Italian team with Gazzini and Fidanza. Coming up to the final sprint now. Australia have been so good in this women's Madison. They lead, sprinting down the back straight. And the Subway New Zealand team trying to give themselves the bronze medal. It may well happen. Australia hit the line, 49.9 kilometres an hour, the average speed. And it looks to me like Subway New Zealand took the bronze, Australia take the gold. Alexandra Manley, battle-scarred, but on the podium. Subway New Zealand. But the winners of this Madison are Australia. They took 10 points in the final sprint. .9 kilometres an hour. Celebration. Confirmation that Australia took the women's Madison with 42 points, Poland in second, and the crowd ecstatic with Subway New Zealand taking the bronze. There's the podium in the women's Madison.
For Alex and I, one of our main focuses was just being consistent throughout the entire race, getting all the basics right, our timing of our changes and leading out our sprints well, and I think that just goes to show our consistency.
We're going to head over to the podium now. This is the men's sprint. Men's sprint presentation. The gold medal, of course, taken by the Polish rider Mateusz Rudic. The silver medal, Tomohiro Fukaya. And the bronze medal, Yudai Nita. It's the story of sprinting over the last few weeks, with the Japanese starting to get the medals they've been searching for. There's our gold medal winner, Mateusz Rudic of Poland. The Kiwi gifts handed over. All smiles from the very proud Japanese medal winners. Mateusz Rudic wins here in Cambridge. There's the podium in the men's sprint. Well, we look across this venue. It has hosted 3 days of magnificent competition. It's going to leave us talking for a long time about the performances of the riders that we've witnessed here in Cambridge. Next stop, we're going to head to Brisbane in Australia. Media and for a little bit of a momentum. The winner race. There's our podium on our final victory ceremony. Roman Gladish wins ahead of Roy.